Remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
So make sure you're mature audiences. But welcome everyone. Friday Night Shit Show. Well, we always have some kind of shit to talk about. I want to say thank you to Richard and Ruben for joining me tonight. How are you guys?
Good.
Any
Good,
day
I'm
you wake
glad.
up's a blessing. So I think I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, my day was pretty good. All my chicks are still alive and my baby ducks. So I guess I'm doing pretty good. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff that's going on, here and there on every avenue. It seems like I'm hearing a little here and a little there about everything, which is, good. And a lot of it's good. And some of it's like, it sucks, but, we just have to deal with it. But I just I'm going to show a little bit about who's in here. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Jackie. Well, hello, Screaming Raven. Thank you for stopping in. Hi, David. How you doing? I know we were running a little bit late, but it's okay. We just got so much shit. We were all getting a drink. I don't know, but but thank you for coming in, and hopefully we'll maybe give you some information on something that you guys haven't heard about yet. But yeah, we got a few things going on and some good stuff. I've got one or two little things that are good that are happening, and more and more stuff seems to be unraveling. So I'm happy about that. So what I'm going to do is pull up my first thing that I thought would be really, really entertaining for this evening. And I was lucky because I was one of the ones that actually got to watch it when for free on X. It's still free until tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but if you go to the X website, which is this is the page from X, and it says Citizen Vigilante, and you just go to there and you can get the link. Now it is graphic. It's very graphic. It's not for kids. Yeah, I'd say at least 13 or older for me. If you let them play those kind of video games, then yeah, they should be all right.
Have your kids watch it till they know the truth.
Well, yeah, but it's not so much the actual, technical stuff, like him not wearing gloves and he's a criminal, things like that. It's the story they're trying to tell. They're trying to show you something. If you
show
just
you the truth,
yeah, they're trying to tell you the truth about what's going on over there. And if you make sure you watch it after the credits and read some of the stuff that comes up, because a lot of people don't.
Well, here too, they did the same thing to Irina Zurkowska. I can't remember her name. Lady from North Carolina. The guy just stabbed her, just like the beginning of the movie.
Stabbed her in the throat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I started crying at the very beginning when that little boy had to watch his mother with her throat cut, just stabbed for just being alive, walking down the street, holding her son's hand in the morning during the day. And this guy just pulls out a knife. He's not from their country. I don't call them immigrants. Okay. An immigrant is somebody who wants to assimilate and wants to go there to make a better life for his own family or her own family. That's immigration. Okay. A person that's brought there and is giving free room and board and free food. They don't learn the language. They don't try to fit in in any way, or even, pay back the country for taking them in away from their war-torn country or whatever their reasons were. And they don't assimilate. They don't give a crap. They're not thankful at all. So I don't know why they even go. Right. It's just for free shit, basically. It's just, more free stuff. And sooner or later, you're going to run out of free shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you guys want to see it or you're interested in it, just check them out on X. And if you don't want to get on X, you can, look for it on other platforms, because I think it's on Prime, but you have to pay for it. So, they do have to make money, but it's pretty good. Army Hammer I thought he did a really good job. I thought most of the characters in the movie did a pretty good job, and there is TNA in it, so be prepared for that. Just sort of let you know that.
And the woman that we're talking about is hot. She's
Yeah.
hot.
She's very, very attractive, and she's wearing very little. Let's put it that way. And so
a garter belt and stockings that look hot.
And her hair.
Yeah, she had.
That's about it. But yeah, she did a good job too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie was made on location in Croatia.
Mm-hmm.
All of the migrant crimes are actual real crimes that happened in real life, that they dramatized into it. The judges that let the criminals off, the things that they said of why they were allowing them to get away with it, i.e., the whole what was it again? Traumatic integration. That these kids didn't know what they were doing because they're not from here and all this other BS. That's actual findings of the judges who let them get away with all these horrendous crimes. And the guy who shared it with me a couple of days ago, him and his wife had got a copy of it to be able to watch it online. And they shared it with me because I said, I really want to see it so I can make up my own mind about it. Plus the fact I like the director, Uwe Boll. I love his movies because it makes me laugh. Hey, guy, because he usually puts little crazy stuff into his movies that just don't make sense, but makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And, but that's not in this movie. He's really serious about it. And I know the left was sitting there trying to, when it first came out, was saying, "Oh, this is sticking it to the right," and he wasn't even tagged in the statements, and he responded to all of them. Says, "No, this is exactly how I feel about this subject. That these migrants are coming here, they're not integrating, they're causing problems." And nobody is being allowed to point it out and call it out. And it's getting to a point to where it's so out of control. There's nothing. People are literally getting to that point to where they will, if somebody was to actually do what was in this movie, just like the social media stuff that was popping up, people would be celebrating him. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the late 70s, early 80s, just how bad the crime rates was in big cities like New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and Detroit. The crime rates was so bad, and that you had these liberal politicians that say, "Oh, we shouldn't be punishing these criminals. We need to get them help. We need to be soft on crime. We need to let them get away with this stuff." And that is why we got Dirty Harry and Death Wish and those exploitation movies like that.
Well, there was another movie because my mother talked about it. Was Death Wish, and there was another one, but I can't remember the other one. About something about a guy carrying a baseball bat.
Walking Tall.
Yeah, Walking Tall. People that were tired and fed up, fighting back, fighting for what
was based on
they should have the right to be able to walk the streets, go to dinner, go do things with your family, and not worry about whether or not you're going to be attacked. Just in your home or in your yard, that kind of stuff.
Okay, Walking Tall, the original Walking Tall, was based on a true story. It was about an everyday guy who got fed up, acted, and took the law in his own hands with a 2x4, and then later ended up becoming a sheriff. And so, this was such a major problem back then after it got fixed by people like Rudy Giuliani and them, it
Mhm.
was felt, okay, we've dealt with this. We're never going to have to worry about this again because we've proven the soft on crime approach just doesn't work.
Mhm.
But guess where we're at? History might
Yep.
not repeat, but it does rhyme pretty much.
Mhm.
The only difference is this isn't being confined to the big cities. This is everywhere now.
Yeah, it's spreading
It's like
like
Mr.
a
Rupert said,
disease.
like Mr. Rupert said about the young lady here in Charlotte getting stabbed on the bus.
Mhm.
And that happened here in my backyard. She wasn't the first person that happened to. There was a young girl. I say young, but she was in college, going to school to be a teacher.
Mhm.
Her family lives right down the road from me. She used to walk in front of my house going for walks. That's how close their family lives to where I live.
Mhm.
They butchered her. And the people that did it, the person who did it, had been arrested multiple times and shouldn't have been on the street, just like the murderer of the Ukrainian girl who immigrated here as a war refugee. She was
Yeah.
relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina, so she would be safe. And she was going to school here in Charlotte. And the person that murdered her had been arrested multiple times. His own mother and sister, who he had attacked, was begging the judge to put him somewhere where he could get help. And the judge, she let him go.
Mhm. I know
And
a lot of people think that they need to pass laws to start holding these judges accountable
mhm,
for releasing people that have been. See, that was something I brought up many times about, and I've served on jury duty before for federal and for just your state, in your county or whatever. But it's sad that in lots of cases, they're not allowed to tell you that this guy's been arrested 12 times for rape and attempted rape,
mhm,
stuff like that. Why? Why aren't they allowed to tell us about it? Because to me, that proves a habit. That's just like a person who smokes, you know.
mhm,
You're going to smoke. Okay, well, guess what? You're not going to be able to go very long in between cigarettes. You got to have another one. It's an addiction, basically,
yep,
and it's the same thing. A person that's a kleptomaniac, a person that shoplifts, sex addiction, drug addiction, all those things. That a psychiatrist would tell you that, yeah, it's more than likely, unless they get some kind of extreme therapy or something. Even men that rape, young people or women or whatever, and they get castrated, they still want to rape, but they just
yeah,
can't use that part of their body anymore. But they'll still do it because it's a lot of it is mental. It's in their head.
mhm,
So unless you lock them up where they can't get their hands on innocent people, or they get some kind of extreme therapy and they're not allowed to go anywhere or whatever. But I mean, I aired that case about the little girl that was taken by the FedEx driver
mhm,
and murdered. I aired that, seen Athena Strand's murder of him being sentenced. So, and he got the death penalty, but it'll be, who knows how long, 20 years if we're lucky for the guy to get it. I mean, the parents have to just wait it out. And I just think that's really sad that the victims are always last.
yeah.
It's like, well, it wasn't my kid and I'm the judge. So, oh, well, too bad.
It's like I can't
It's
remember his
terrible.
name, but he was one of our founding fathers who said that compassion to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent.
Mhm.
And that is a truism that is just as true now as it was 300 years ago, almost 250 years ago. And our society, I get it. We want to be compassionate to everybody. But there comes a time when being compassionate towards a victimizer, the only true compassion that we can give these people is putting them in a rehabilitation center where they can get the help that they need and keep them away from the people that they're going to be preying upon.
Yeah.
Do I like the fact that prisons have become piranha factories? Okay, I don't like that. I am a victim of male on male sexual violence. All right. I don't like that. To me, that is one of the worst things to go through. But that's for sexual violence of any type. Okay. And when George W. Bush, while he was president, he spearheaded a move and a program to stop it in the prisons. A lot of people don't realize more men get raped than women do, especially in prison. And it is insane that it's something that nobody talks about, or if they do talk about it, they make fun of it. I'll admit, there are times when I have made the don't drop your soap jokes to somebody about to go to jail, but that's usually because they deserve it. Because of the type of
I heard that joke because in the Navy, in Navy nukes that were in subs, they used to say, make jokes about that. Well, I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't bend over in the shower or drop your soap, stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's us busting each other's balls.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is lots of people have, made those types of jokes about different things like that. But, but what's really sad is that we've coddled our prisoners today. I can remember my mother saying that a long time ago when she was a little girl, and my grandma's stories, that prisoners had to go and actually like break up rocks. They worked all day till sunup to sundown, and they got 2 meals a day. And they had like 2 to 4 people in a cell together. And if they got beat up, shit like that they had to find, form groups. And if the ones who took classes and tried to better themselves would get a boost, and that less people went back to prison. That there was I don't know what the numbers were, but they said that there was the numbers were better back in the
recidiv. I can see it in my head. I just can't pronounce it. But that's because my speechifying ability is all really
today you got a guy that kills his pregnant wife and his 2 small little girls, okay? Because he killed his whole family because he was having an affair with a woman, and he didn't want to put up with this shit, and he didn't want to have to give her the house or any money, because he didn't have to work harder and not be able to have his girlfriend or whatever, or give her the stuff he wanted to buy her. Whatever his reasons were, he's a disgusting pig. And because he gets death threats because of what he did to his family, they put them in a special prison, a prison where they're like in their cell 24 hours a day almost. They get 1 hour or something to go out and work out, and they get a commissary because if hot girls want to send them nudie pictures and all this kind of stuff, then they get that. And I think that's disgusting. The fact they can get online and do all those things, I don't think they should be able to do that.
Okay, Rupert, I don't know about you. I've been hard up for a long time. What type of evil criminal shit could we do to get sent to prison, have hot chicks sending us pictures?
Well, you have to do a bad, horrendous crime because those women are like, something's wrong with them.
That's true. But they're hot. That's the messed up part.
Well, I just saw some of the interviews of some of these women that fall for men on death row. You know, they've got a mental illness because they think that if they're on death row, that they got control of them. You know, that they're not going to be out doing stuff. And the one documentary that I watched had this guy, and he had 4 women that were all writing letters and sending pictures and having supposedly those kind of visits you can get to go see him and make out and do all that shit with 4 women, and none of them knew about each other because he had it all figured out, you know, like whatever. And then this guy let them meet each other. So to try to show these women, you guys are stupid if you think that you're going to change someone like this, you know. I don't know. I mean, look what happened to Ted Bundy. He had a kid while he was on death row, waiting to die after murdering all those women. So it's just sick the way that these people seem to get away with it, and they get coddled in prison instead of punished. You know, this to me it's disgusting. But we got a long way to go, I think, and it really does depend on what state you live in, whether they're tough on crime. But I've got some stuff about, you know, the state of Texas.
Five hot chicks? 5 hot chicks?
I don't know for sure.
5 hot chicks at one time?
Yeah, he had 4. The documentary I saw.
4, okay.
4 different women.
Okay.
They weren't all hot chicks. They were just a couple of them were attractive, you know, took good care of themselves. They had money and they had jobs and careers, but it was sad that they had
a career.
They thought that they had a good man. I don't know how they could think that. I mean, because they have to have some kind of something messed up to want to date someone that's a serial killer anyways, or to, I don't know, spend their time with them or whatever. I just thought it was really weird. Yeah. Oh, here, hold on. Let me bring up.
I'm gonna have to watch Dexter and take some notes.
Yeah. Dexter was a great series. I own it. I think it's great. I think it was really good. I love the actors. I love the premise behind the story. But the books are really good. The books are like really, really good books. The Dexter series of books, and how he ends up becoming the one who takes care of his wife's 2 kids from her first marriage, because he was an abusive man, and both her son and daughter are both going to end up just like him, being serial killers. So he tries to help them out so they don't, with the code, Harry's code or whatever. But I wanted to bring this next thing up here. It talks about John Solomon releasing an email from Obama's Deputy Attorney General, Sally Yates. So I'm going to play this for you. So here we go.
Tonight, we're going to tell you about the other Clinton investigation, one that was running in 3 separate FBI offices, New York, Washington, and Little Rock. It was a predicated criminal investigation that was examining whether Hillary Clinton ran a pay-to-play scheme that delivered favors from her perch as Secretary of State, while foreigners and others paid large sums of money to her family foundation, the Clinton Foundation, run by Bill Clinton and their daughter, eventually Chelsea Clinton. 3 separate agencies, 3 separate bureaus, offices of the FBI believe they had predicated evidence to pursue that. Every time they tried to move the ball down the road in the shadows of the 2016 election, they got shut down. I mean, they got shut down at the highest levels of their agency. Andrew McCabe, the deputy director, a man who potentially had a conflict of interest with Hillary Clinton. So his wife got money from Hillary Clinton's former campaign chair to run for a Virginia state Senate. And by the way, McCabe attended the meeting where that assistance was solicited. He eventually was conflicted out, but not before he gave the order to his agents that you won't investigate or do anything on this unless I approve it. Downstream from them, 4 different U.S. attorneys' offices under Barack Obama were asked for help by the agents. Agents need help. We need a grand juror. We need to get evidence. We want to move the case down the road. All 3 of those 4 offices told the agents, you're on your own. We will not assist you in your pursuit of criminal charges against Hillary Clinton. And then perhaps the most extraordinary statement in the document that we are going to show you on screen now, they can put it up as you're looking here. The Deputy Attorney General for Barack Obama, Sally Yates, explicitly told the FBI, shut it down, meaning the corruption probes of Hillary Clinton. Think about this. While Donald Trump was out on the campaign trail chanting, lock her up, maybe there was a good reason to lock up Hillary Clinton, he would argue every night. The Obama Justice Department was telling the FBI agents who also thought there might be a reason to lock up Hillary Clinton, shut it down. Remember those words. We have a lot more up for you. In a second, we're going to bring in Senator Ron Johnson, someone who's been instrumental in exposing so much of this incredible, dirty scheme in Washington. But one last piece of note before I bring in Amanda. We have now confirmed tonight there are some prosecutors who have come forward and are willing to cooperate with Attorney General Pam Bondi and, of course, FBI Director Kash Patel, who found this document. He found this document based on some whistleblowers that Just the News had. He went and got it. He has other emails that he's going to be turning over to Congress that I think will further this narrative. This is the beginning, but we told you this was a double-headed scandal. The first part was pursuing false allegations against Republicans. The second was forming a protection racket around Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Biden family and others, Joe Biden himself, when it came to classified documents.
Yeah, see, this is a little older, but there's more of this stuff coming out. Each time I turn around, I'm hearing a little bit more from this other person about another interview that they did, trying to get the information. And remember, it was a couple months back that Hillary and Bill both got brought in and were interviewed about some things, and they're still doing that. That's still going on. And I tell people all the time to try to go to C-SPAN and try to watch some of these things because it's very interesting. It's very boring for most people because everybody wants, that's what you want. And a lot of people don't want to sit and just listen to the argument back and forth and, the breaks that they take and they just think it's boring. So, that's why a lot of other people just watch it and then take snippets out and make small snippets and then put that on because it can't keep people's attention anymore after, TikTok and Instagram and things like that. It's kind of hard to have anyone sit for a very long time and just take in information simply because it's boring. You know what I mean? Makes it really hard. But there's all this stuff that they've been gathering, all this stuff to be able to prosecute. And we can't prosecute if we don't have, judges that we feel that will listen and follow the law. Because if we give them the wrong judge and they go in and they find a few technicalities and it gets thrown out, I'm just saying we've got to take it step by step so that we can try to make sure that some of these people are prosecuted, and we got to have good judges for that. And I just don't have a lot of faith right now with the Congress that we have. They just do not have our best interest at heart. I mean, I just don't see it. Our representatives have done well. They had the SAVE Act on Thune's desk at the end of February. It's been sitting there all that time and nothing because they don't want to pass it. They don't want Trump to be successful. But the thing is they're dragging this so blatantly. It's just making Trump more and more believable because of the way that they're handling it. To me, if they really wanted to hurt him, they would, I don't know, they're just not doing it the right way to make them look good. Because when you run saying that we're going to get rid of Obamacare, okay, you get voted in and you don't get rid of it. When you have all three branches of government and you do nothing. Well, guess what? This is his second term and we're in the exact same position. We have all three branches of government, but yet we can't get anything done because they're just dragging their feet. They're like they're in a big thing of cement or something, and it's slowly drying, and they're just like, I don't know what's going on.
It is the uniparty that's causing this. The rhinos. That's the part. Mm-hmm. The Republican wing of the uniparty These are the people that it's all about the process. It's all about this. It's all about it's the deep state that we're dealing with. And
it really is.
It's one of those things that really frustrates me. It's one of the reasons why I've been saying for ever since I started doing YouTube, and hell, I even said this before I ever decided to do anything on YouTube, that we the people's biggest mistake was stop allowing for the tarring and feathering of corrupt politicians and bureaucrats. Because back in the day, whenever we had a corrupt politician or a bureaucrat, we caught them with their hand in the cookie jar. We took them outside, stripped all their finery off, poured tar on top of them, then tossed feathers on them, and then we would put them on a rail and run them out of town. And that humiliation, that shame, for the longest time was enough to keep a politician or a government bureaucrat from being corrupt, because they did not want to have to go through that shame. Unfortunately, our society today has become, what's that word again? Oh, yes, shameless. And we need to get back to that point to where embarrassing somebody so ruthlessly, we need to do it, you know? I get so upset whenever I see this type of corruption, because it's what weakens the American people's, well, any citizen of any country's faith in their government, is when they see corruption like this, and these people in positions of power and authority repeatedly get away with it. I mean, the Bidens were, it was openly known that Biden was, let's see, what's a good way of putting it? He was for sale. His brother and Hunter both, that was their entire purpose in life, was selling access to Joe Biden, who was a high-ranking government official. And then when he was vice president, his family was raking in so bloody much money it wasn't even funny. And the Clinton Foundation, the run up to 2016, look at all the money the Clinton Foundation had coming into their coffers in massive amounts. And then after she lost in 2016, what happened to all of that money? All the people who had been depositing tons of money into the Clinton Foundation withdrew it all. And it's one of those things that it's so blatant that it takes the willful ignorance of people to ignore it, and it also takes people who are suffering from an irrational hatred of anything with a little R after their name to allow that irrational hatred to overwhelm their rational mind and basic common human decency. And we refer to that today as TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, just like we referred to it as BDS, Bush Derangement Syndrome. You guys, I'm not going to put this on anybody, but I'm old enough to remember people selling T-shirts that had the Kill Bill logo on it that said Kill Bush, and actually wearing them in public.
I remember buying some bumper stickers for my mother. I bought like a stack of them because she lived in Arkansas at the time. That said, "I'm proud I didn't vote for the dope from Hope."
Yeah.
And every time she said she was glad I bought a stack because she kept them in her glove box, she'd go shopping or whatever. She'd come out and it'd be peeled off, laid on the ground. So people don't like, to see that kind of stuff, especially if it's somebody they really think is doing a great job. But you're right. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, these people are in every nook and cranny of the United States. And if they hate Trump or whoever it is they hate, The sad truth is that they cannot help themselves but to touch other people's property. You know.
Well, I don't remember during the Obama years or even the Clinton years of people calling for their assassinations and being celebrated for it, are taking pleasure in the death of somebody on the left. I don't remember that happening. And I'm pretty politically astute, and and I'm a news junkie who was watching the news all the time. And
I don't remember ever seeing any news article or newspaper article or anything of anyone that was supposedly a Republican cheering on the death of anyone, even Robert Byrd. When Robert Byrd died, I didn't see people having parties out front and, yay, he's dead. I didn't see any of that.
You remember when, well, I'm not going to say it that way, but he might have been a kid at the time when President Reagan passed away, and how the media just could not believe that the American public was grieving over the death of Ronald Reagan when they had demonized him so much. Yeah. People talk about the Trump derangement syndrome. They did the same thing with Reagan, and they made the same type of statements that they with Reagan that they make with Trump. But you didn't see people coming out saying, "Damn, why did Hinckley miss?" or "Why didn't Hinckley finish the job?" And it just, I put this down to the fact for over 50 years, you had the mainstream media demonizing the Republicans. And it's got to a point where they have dehumanized us conservatives and us Republicans and us as Christians so much that people believe it, not just believe it, but they believe that they can actually openly celebrate death and the deaths of people that they deem less than human and not suffer any repercussions for it. And
because they believe it. I mean, like that what was it? That teacher that traveled from California to try to shoot Trump at that dinner.
Yeah.
And he's never, as far as we could tell, he's never done anything else because he really believes that he's saving the country. It's programmed into him to where he thinks that he's doing the right thing.
Yep.
And that's why one of the reasons why this whole thing with this vigilante movie, I try to tell people I don't want to see anyone go out and just start killing people and becoming what they're trying to preach against, right? Exactly. It's the message behind the movie. It's all action, lots of gunfire, and it's good special effects when it comes to the bullets, holes on the people, all that stuff is really gruesome and realistic, like the mother being stabbed in the throat at the beginning. It was so real. I mean, it was just heartbreaking. That little boy just broke my heart,
Yeah.
But I don't want to see somebody, a dad or anyone, have to go to prison for the rest of their life because they were trying to get revenge for what happened to their kid or their wife or someone else. We've got to try to do it the way our Constitution tells us to do, which is through the laws, right? And the only way to change the laws is to fight and get rid of these people that aren't following the Constitution, the ones that are just kicking the can down the road and making a paycheck. Okay, well, that's how we're going to make a difference.
Remember, Death Wish, Walking Tall, Dirty Harry, all these movies actually put it out there for public consumption of the problems that was going on at the time of rampant crime. And that was the soapbox. These movies is the soapbox.
But the thing is, I've just been doing reviews on the Dirty Harry. We just finished that. We're doing all Clint Eastwood stuff, and they did get a lot of hate because of it. Okay,
Yeah.
they got a lot of hate because of it, but if you look into it, it's the fact that they're trying to get the courts to make sure that they give these people the time they deserve in jail. But instead of getting longer sentences and things like that, it's getting to where they're just getting slaps on the wrist, you know.
Yes. And
that
was the situation.
To me, that's the biggest problem.
Remember, that was also the situation back when they first came out. It was the whole soft on crime approach. And I remember, do you know who they originally asked to play Detective Harry Callahan, Dirty Harry? Do you know which actor they originally?
I'm trying to remember.
They wrote the role for John Wayne, and he said he couldn't be in it because he did not like the way that they portrayed Dirty Harry. That's why he made his own version of it. I can't remember what the name of it was. It didn't do as well, but he liked the concept. He saw where they were going with it. He just did not like the brutality of the Dirty Harry. And it's one of those things that, okay, our system was set up that you have 3 boxes to bring about change in the way our system is. First is the soap box. The second is the ballot box. And the third is the cartridge box. Yes, Brannigan, that was it, Hardwick. Thank you. And at this moment, we're still doing the soapbox and the ballot box, especially those of us who've actually seen the horrors of war. We don't want to have to go to the cartridge box because we know what that entails, and we don't want to bring that here to our home streets. And I created my channel to try to bridge the gap, to stop the dehumanization, to where you can get people who disagree to come on a panel and discuss these topics, agree to disagree, and still be friends and family. And we, as a society, we used to have that in this country. You didn't have Democrats out there running around saying they hated America and America needs to die and be disbanded.
See, I think it's has a lot to do with mental illness.
Yes.
And we haven't helped enough people that when you have a kid that takes a gun to school and shoots people, and then you interview the parent later, they say, I beg for help. I try to get help, lots of them say the same stuff. And I think his name was Edmund Kemper. He was a co-ed killer. Have you ever seen any interviews with him?
Was he the guy that was up there in the Midwest? That
I don't remember what state it was, but his mother was she worked at the college, and he hated his mother. Okay. And he hated her friend. So he wanted to kill her, but instead he would go out and kill co-eds from the college. And then finally, and he's really, really a genius, high level intelligence, and a big, huge guy too. But I watched a couple of documentaries with him, and it was very interesting, the insight he would give you for people like him, that have that missing thing that you need to turn things off to not kill. But he said that he just said finally one day to himself that, why am I killing these innocent people when I should just get rid of the one person that I hate the most? But he also loved her, he said, the most. That was the hard conflict for him. And so he killed his mother in a horrible, gruesome way, and her friend that was there. And then he said he turned himself in, and he said basically he lost the urge to kill after that because he accomplished what he wanted. And it's sickening to think about it, but honestly, we have all this knowledge about serial killers and all this stuff about crimes like that. Like we got the Golden State Killer, killed for many, many, many years, BTK, Green River. We got all these people, and we've got all this scientific backing behind it, but yet we don't work using that knowledge to try to help people or to find ways to keep these people in prison and build better prisons to where they work towards goals with these people. Using them to help others, in the prison system or something. I don't know. They're just, to me, it's like we just threw it to the side and we just take the money and we don't worry about it. And then we put them right back on the street because it's inhumane to keep them caged up, even though they're inhumane to people. And that's why they're in there. They just put them back out in the street, Well,
that's one of the reasons why I believe, to me, the death penalty is more humane. Because I put it to it, let's put it this way. You're an animal lover, right? You will not chain up a dog and keep it in a cage 24/7 for multiple years without being charged with animal cruelty.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But I'm one of those people too that I have a hard time with buying a pet for your kid for Christmas. Just because you want to give them something that they're going to go, oh, he's so cute. And then when 6 months, when it's pooping on the floor and it's chewing stuff up and you just don't want to deal with it, you just take it out in the country and dump it and let it starve to death or get hit by a car. It's terrible. I wish nobody would do that. I think that's one of the horriblest things you can ever do because you hurt the kid that you gave the pet to. That causes trauma for the child. Then you just take it out somewhere and then that's cruel. That's a double like someone did that to me. Someone dumped a dog out here where I'm at, and I was gone. I was at my dad's for the weekend, and when I came back on Sunday, half my chickens were murdered, chewed all up. Half my stuff on my porch was chewed up, and it was all because of a beautiful little white shepherd that was like 6 months old, right? And there was 2 or 3 of them dropped off because I had other people that said that they had different dogs around the exact same age have been Christmas gifts that people were tired of, and they just take them out to the country. So if you happen to live in the country, you're the one that gets the brunt of it. And then when I wouldn't bring it in the house because it's not my dog, and I bought an Igloo dog house for it, I spent like $1,500 on this dog, money I didn't have. But I got her spayed and did all that. And I kept trying to find someone to adopt her. I took her to the special place where they scan them to see if they had a chip. She had a chip because she looked like a white German Shepherd. She had beautiful blue eyes. And it was sad, but I didn't need a pet. I already had, I had just lost my Chihuahua that I had for 16 years. And it was heartbreaking. I didn't want a dog. And plus, I didn't want a dog that was going to kill all the rest of my chickens. She already killed half of them. So I tried to find a home, and finally I got a home for it. But I spent $1,500 on a dog that someone else should have been responsible for, that they bought for their kid for Christmas. And I wish I knew who that person was, because I would have pressed charges against them if there was any way. If I had a camera on my driveway, at the end of my driveway, because it's like a football field length.
But like I was saying, I find that abhorrent. My little sister, Laura Jane, who lives next door to me, she's a veterinary tech. And I always talk about what I would do if I ever won the lottery. And she just looks at me after I say, I'm going to buy a big ass house where all of the people I love can live under one roof. She's like, and what else? And I just looked at her and said, okay. The domestic abuse shelters on either side of the property, one for dudes and one for women. And in between, I'm going to be putting an animal sanctuary in the middle of it to be able to use those animals as part of the therapy for them to recover from their traumas. And she gets this look on her face and she says, that's damn right. You're going to get me the animal sanctuary so I can have all the critters I want. And she's like, I don't care about any of the other stuff. I just want the animal sanctuary.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that is my big dream if I ever get to win the lottery. But like I was saying,
I'll keep praying for you to win.
Oh yeah, but like I said, when it comes to keeping a person in a cage for anywhere from 50 to 60 to even 80 years, to me, that is cruel and unusual punishment. It's why I believe if you have proven yourself to be that vile, that you don't care about other human beings, it's time to remove you from the planet. That is the humane thing to do. It's the humane thing to do when an animal kills other animals or kills people. If a dog mauls a child or a human being, they're put down, because anything else just ain't gonna work. The animal has proven itself to be incapable of being around other animals or human beings for that matter. And the only thing you can do is put it down. And there's a time when you have to come to the realization humans can be the same way, that you have to get to that point to be able to accept that cold logic, that there are people that just need, you can't help them no more. And I hate saying that.
They're past the point of no return. They can't be brought back.
Yep. Now the dude you got on the screen, Fauci.
Yeah.
I say put his ass in jail till the day he dies, and you keep him in a very special cell until his body has rotted away.
Well, a lot of people feel the same way. It's just that we've got to do the due process, just like you would expect to get, because a lot of people might be pointing their finger at you, thinking you did something, and that's what a jury of your peers is supposed to do. To look at the evidence and see whether or not there's enough to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're the one that did it. But I want to play this little thing by Rand Paul real quick. Rand Paul, sorry, that's his dad's name.
Is it too vague to say, I'm going to prosecute you for not prosecute you and pardon you for anything you did in the last 10 years? I think there's a possibility the court says that's vague and not specific, and you can't give people some kind of pardon for everything and over such a long period of time. I think there's a chance we'd win that. I think it ought to be fought. We have two clear-cut cases against him: lying to Congress, which is a felony, but also destroying public records. We now have emails that he distributed to Francis Collins and others saying, hey, read this and then destroy it. That is against the law. You're not allowed to do that in the executive branch. It's clear. His only argument is, it wasn't about government. And it clearly was, and I think a jury would decide. So I still would prosecute him. Is it too vague to say?
So there are people, they are working on it. It's just that we have to have all the ducks in a row and be ready when we do go to court. Because let's say we finally take the stuff to court and then we find out there's like 5 or 6 things that they don't have, that they needed, and they knew they needed it, but somebody messed up and put it in the wrong place or whatever it was, and they weren't prepared because they were trying to rush to get it done. And how many people you think are going to be pissed off about that shit? A lot.
Well, Fauci's malpractice in his job working for the government. He is the highest paid he was the highest paid government employee, period. And he goes all the way back to when HIV and AIDS first we first discovered it. He's the reason why that little boy who got HIV thanks to a blood transfusion was ostracized, is because of him, because of Fauci saying that just being in the room with somebody with HIV or AIDS could get it to you.
Yeah.
When he knew for a fact it took intravenous drug use, or anal, you know what, to transfer it.
Yeah.
He knew that for a fact. And he was running around telling people straight couples could get it from regular man on woman vaginal sex, when it's that type of a transmission was proven to be really, really low unless there was blood involvement. And Fauci's malpractice is one of those things that I have been saying. He is one of the reasons why I was questioning the whole COVID thing when it first came out. Not just because of my chemical, biological, radiological warfare training in the Navy.
Yeah.
But because of Fauci's own personal stuff. Because I remember the 1980s. That's when I grew up. It's also one of the reasons why I waited. Well, I was 26 the first time I ever got to go with a woman, if you know what I mean. All because of that fear that he put into us of how easy it was to catch HIV and AIDS. I was that terrified of it. And yeah, asshole.
Yeah, it's it's sad, but you got to remember, a lot of people had never dealt with anything like that before. They didn't know. They looked at.
Yes,
I mean, look at the way Trump treated Fauci. Okay, when he first got in, and Fauci was the one coming and telling him all this information, and he was listening to Fauci. He believed him because he thought that Fauci was really going to try to help people. So that's why they started the whole operation, whatever it was.
Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah, Warp Speed or whatever.
Mr. Bruce's thing back up right quick.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Okay. Fauci used to recommend everyone near AIDS people wear masks because the gays would give it to you by exhaling their sperm-laden breath. They would perfume a neighborhood. This was in the 1984 paper that Fauci wrote about AIDS. Exactly, Bruce. Exactly. That's one of the reasons why so many in my generation had major hang-ups for such a long time when it came to getting jiggy with the opposite sex.
Well, also look how he handled the whole thing with AIDS. You could tell he had disdain for people with AIDS, even the way he talked about kids that got it through because they had I'm trying to remember the name of the disease that makes you have low white blood count.
Yes, hemophilia.
Yeah, hemophiliacs. Okay, because I used to donate blood many years ago because I have very high platelet count. Okay, I'm a perfect person to do it every week. I could do it every week because it doesn't take your blood. It just your blood goes through a machine and it strains out platelets, and then you make your own little bag. And then I would have to drink a whole bunch, to replace my fluids. Not so much because of my blood, but that's what I did. I've given over 3 gallons of blood in donations, and some of it was in platelets because it does help people, not just hemophiliacs, but other people with other problems and certain kinds of cancers and things like that. But it was the way he spoke about people with AIDS, okay, with disdain. And he did the same thing to people. If you don't wear your mask and you don't do this and you get too close to someone, blah, 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 all the things that he said, which we now know today were lies. Because even on the box of the mask, it says it won't stop a virus. It says so. That's why I carried the empty box in my purse. And I went anywhere and they said, oh, you have to put on a mask. And I'm like, why? And they said, well, because you could have COVID. And I said, it doesn't stop viruses because your eyes also have blood vessels in it. There's just so much that went with that. And it's disgusting how sad it is because people now are wearing a mask. They're jogging down the road wearing a mask. They're working out in the gym wearing a mask. I'm still seeing people do this, and driving in a car alone wearing a mask because they're paranoid now.
The first lesson in CBR warfare is this. You had to answer this question. Why is it that if you can smell a fart through your gas mask, you're already dead? And you have to answer that question. And the answer is quite simple. The fecal matter particle in the fart is bigger than the particle of a virus that carries the virus. And if you can smell that fart through that gas mask, that means your gas mask isn't stopping a biological agent. And it's one of those things that really got to me, because when they were talking about it in Asia, the only time you see somebody wearing a mask like that is if they've got a cold.
Yeah.
Or if they're dealing with a place that has a lot of smog and they're trying to keep the smog out of their lungs. And the whole COVID thing, when it first started, I'm like, wait, this isn't acting like the way the COVID virus is supposed to be acting. It's not supposed to have an incubation time. It's not supposed to be doing this, this, and this, and this. So I knew somebody had monkeyed around with it. Not just because it jumped from bats to humans like that. It just wasn't acting the way the normal virus acts. Okay, I had my VA appointment today. And whenever you call the VA hotline for your medical stuff, do you know they're still saying, if you were showing signs of COVID, please don't come in. Call this number instead.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they're still doing that to this day. And you have to you can't hit, there's no button to hit to skip all of that. You have to sit there through that whole 5-minute spiel before you can even get started on dealing with the reason why you're calling the VA. And it's literally become a political pantomime theater that in many ways it's a virtue signal. The whole mask thing has now become a virtue signal. There's so many people that wear it to show they're not a Trumper or they're not a conservative. They believe in the science while completely ignoring the fact that mask ain't stopping anything. That mask is supposed to be, if you've got a cold and you're sneezing and snotting, it will keep the particles of the sneeze inside the mask. That's the whole purpose of it, is to keep it in, not to keep something out. And God, I'm sorry, I'm rambling about the stupidity of the virtue signal, and mask is one of those things that really gets to me because of my training. And so, oh God, it's just one of those things that makes me. I could go on a good 2-hour rant about the stupidity of people.
Yeah,
because it frustrates me, because the type of mask, if you're really wanting to protect yourself from a biological agent, you're going to have to
be wearing a whole bodysuit.
Yes. And it's, oh God, it's just one of those things that just really burns my butt, because you've got these people who've never dealt with something like this acting like they're experts.
Well, the thing is that I knew a lot of people, that were in the Navy, and they worked with, nuclear power type stuff. So they had to be leery of radiation. So they had to wear special suits. And when they went through this thing, and if they had any particles on them, they'd strip them down and they'd scrub them down. They had to be scrubbed down with all this different types of soap and things like that, and used wire brushes and all. It was really bad. I mean, these people looked like hell after they went through that. They had a particle on them. Then it would be a few days or whatever before they could even go back to work, and they had to wear this little thing on their belt.
It was 3 days.
Yeah. It was,
because
they had to wear a thing on their belt to see whether or not they were exposed and how much radiation they were exposed to. So it's very, very strict. So, you know, I felt like a lot of these people knew what they were talking about, and that they were trying to be as safe as they could to keep people safe, basically. So that's what's sad about a lot of this stuff, is that this has put a huge dent in the medical area of our country. I knew one person who had heart problems, and they needed to have surgery, but this person did not want to have surgery because they felt if they went to sleep that they were going to jab them up.
Well,
I mean,
my mom she had an aneurysm in her aorta, and they were going to do the surgery right as COVID was right before it started to go happen. And so they kept putting off the surgery she needed, and the aneurysm kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until the point to where she ended up getting pneumonia and bronchitis. And they put her on a ventilator machine. And it was causing her blood pressure, which was already high, thanks to all the medicines that they had her on. And her blood pressure was going up, down, side to side, diagonal, crossways, every which way but loose. And it caused the aorta that should have been repaired 2 years earlier to explode. And that's how my mom died. All because they wouldn't do that surgery. I had 3 hernias, an umbilical hernia and 2 downstairs hernias, the sanguinal hernias. And I had to live with those hernias for 3 fucking years because they did not want to do the surgery. And it wasn't until the pain was so bad that I literally, when I was talking to the doctor who was sitting there going, "Oh, you can live with hernias, it's not a problem." And I'm like, "The hell you say? I can't bend over. My house looks like a hoarder would look at my house and go, oh shit, that's bad, because I can't keep it clean."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh shoot, we're sorry." And I'm like, because I told this doctor, you are why over 22 of my brothers and sisters are killing themselves every day. It's because of statements like that we could just live with the pain when you're not giving us any pain medicine. And I literally told him, I want to see your supervisor right now. And he changed his tune and arranged for me to get the surgery to fix these 3 hernias. And because they waited 3 years, I don't have a belly button anymore. All I have is this weird looking scar where my belly button used to be. Assholes. But yeah, like I said, COVID, the whole thing of COVID is one of those things that they need to do a full-blown investigation on.
And they are. I as far as I could tell from the little bits I've been able to find about some of these hearings, with, I think it's Senator Johnson is doing leading that up, because I've done a couple shows with Christopher Moore. He's one of the ones that worked with a few other people And I've had her on the show a few times, and she's come up with a regimen for people with vitamins and natural stuff like that to try to get their blood back to what it was before they had, gotten jabbed up, type of thing. And yeah, I got my channel, a couple strikes against my channel and stuff because of it. But, I'm glad I did it. And, over the years, Christopher and I become friends, and a few other people that I've met because of that, and them going before Congress, showing what they found and figured out themselves. And she found things in her own kitchen with using a microscope. It's a lot of things that she just started looking into because her mother had died from cancer. And the whole thing is a lot of people became very inactive, outside of their homes simply because of COVID, and they stayed home, and then they just went, started digging. I know, but they just started digging to try to find truth, what was really going on, what happened, and why are they in this situation. And it ended up making her make supplements to help people, and Christopher has even taken some of them because of his health problems. But I'm going to go ahead and let Byron Donaldson go on his rant about how upset he was with our Congress. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video next here for everybody. Here we go. I think it's turned up. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I turned up some more.
The Senate sucks. I'm just going to come out and say it. They suck. This is not hard. 80% of the American people want the Save America Act to pass. Not 80% of Republicans, 80% of the American people. And the only organization that refused to act is the United States Senate. Everybody else is saying, this is common sense. We should do common sense things. Let's make sure only Americans are voting in our elections. Makes sense, right? Let's protect the franchise of the American people. Let's make sure that people who are sent to Washington are being voted on by Americans. Who the American people choose is up to them, but we have a responsibility to secure that franchise and to secure that process for the American people. And what is happening in the U.S. Senate is laziness, and quite frankly, it's disgusting. What? The Senate Democrats don't want to have voter ID in America. Why? Because they want to maintain their power. Senate Republicans don't want to do the right thing and actually have a true filibuster on the floor and debate the matter on the floor, because it would take them away from their precious meetings that they have to conduct. I'm sorry. They have a responsibility to open up the Senate floor and debate this issue in front of the American people. I agree with Chairman Harris 1,000%. I want to hear what Chuck Schumer has to say on the floor in full debate about why he opposes this measure. I want to hear what Elizabeth Warren has to say about why she would oppose this measure. I want her to tell the people of Massachusetts why she believes that the people of Massachusetts should not have to show a photo ID in order to vote in a federal election in the United States of America. Just the other day, President Obama opened up his presidential library.
Yeah, he was going to talk about how they had to have ID to get in. But I just thought it was, I thought this was a really good rant by him, because everything he said was a fact. And it isn't one side or the other. It's the American people want this.
Yep. And a large majority of the people demanding this are Democrats. That's the funny thing. There are several people who were Democrats who have left the Democrat Party. They've not become Republicans. They've become independents over this issue. And it's one of those things of, why would you fight tooth and nail from having photo ID to vote when every other country on the planet requires ID to vote? Especially, okay, you know how the Democrats keep going, oh, we need to be more like Europe, except for voter ID. That's and abortion. Those are the two things that they don't want to copy from Europe.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of marrying an English woman.
Mm-hmm.
And when she found out how abortion is done in the United States, she said it was barbaric.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime somebody talk about a fetus and being aborted, she's like, "That's not a fetus, that's a baby."
Mm-hmm.
And she would go off on a rant about it. And then when she found out how what late term abortions meant,
Mm-hmm.
and how at the time, this was in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, 1986, 1987, 1988. She was here in the States, and she couldn't believe that there were people fighting against born alive legislation to where if a baby survived an abortion attempt, it had to be given medical treatment. She could not believe that they were actually taking babies that had survived the abortion and would put them in a soundproof room and let them scream themselves to death.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh my God, that is so evil and barbaric."
It is.
And every European, when they would hear that, would get a horrified look on their face.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I had to center myself for a moment.
Yeah, it's really it's a really sad thing to even think that even happens in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's to the states. It's not something that anybody can just do it. So that it's one thing that was taken care of.
Well, this is one of the things that Nadine and I got into it. Was Ruth Bader Ginsburg kept saying that if the Roe versus Wade ever came before her on the Supreme Court while she was alive on the Supreme Court, she would have to vote to overturn Roe versus Wade because it was a bad law and a bad decision. She called me a liar, even though I said, "Look, she gave that in interviews all the time." "No, she did not. That's a lie." And I'm like, "Do you want to see the videos of it?" And even after seeing the videos of it, she wouldn't apologize for calling me a liar. Even though she could watch Ruth Bader Ginsburg sitting there in her robes being interviewed, talking about how she would have to vote against Roe versus Wade because it was a bad law. And the entire time, she talked about how the entire time she was on the bench, tried to get the Democrats in Congress to write a good law that would fulfill the requirements of what Roe versus Wade had done.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Well, could you put on Hardwick right quick?
Put what?
Can you highlight Mr. Hardwick's post right there?
Oh, wait. I got to go back to the other thing as I was about to start the other deal. That's all right.
I'm kind of surprised to hear that because I heard that England is even more liberal than America on abortion, that they even have Marie Stopes, which is their equivalent of Planned Parenthood. Yes, they do have that. But after a certain amount of time, they don't do the abortion. They don't do late-term abortions. They don't believe in post-term abortions or any of that. Yes, they have very liberal laws there. But that is the one thing that they don't do because to them that is, well, when I was over there in the 2010s, it was one of those, that's a no-go after a certain amount of time. You don't do it after that because the baby becomes viable outside the body, and you don't do it. You should have got it done sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time they will do it, a late-term abortion there, is if it boils down to the life of the mother or the child is in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, the UK is very quote unquote progressive in that way, in great many deals. Tuesday, Miss Janet here is going to be helping me do my Rumble exclusive deep dive on the rape gang inquiry report, and I'm still trying to read through it, and it's bad. It's really, really bad. The things that's in that report, I've broken down in tears reading it, so I've had to take it in bits and pieces. But yeah, they're further down the progressive road, but with the things that's been going on, as we've heard about the movie Citizen Vigilante, people are waking up over there and they're getting upset. And I am terrified that the Bubba effect will happen and you will get real life citizen vigilantes running around doing horrible, horrible things because they don't think that the government is protecting the citizens anymore.
Well, it's I've heard a lot of people saying that they're worried that if we don't start taking back the rule of law, and starting to put people in jail. If a jury says 20 years, that the judge shouldn't say, oh, well, that's too much, or I'm going to give you 4, that kind of stuff. Putting it back into the hands of the people that are that type of thing. That if we don't do that, we're going to end up having something turn out like The Purge. Do you know that? Heard about that, right? Yeah. So, and I believe that. I do believe it because we, the people, will only put up with so much. When you get to a certain point, they just stop listening. We can see that already. But I want to get to this next thing about the whole thing about the post office executive order that Trump had signed about trying to get it to where non-legal citizens can't vote. And he signed this executive order to try to get that to start to see if this would work. I want to play. I got 3 different videos I want to play to go with this.
Take some time and I'll make the signature absolutely perfect. So it looks very good. So far, so good. Okay, so that's a big deal. Very proud of it. And I don't know how it can be challenged. You'll probably challenge it. You may say, find a rogue judge. You get a lot of rogue judges, very bad people, very bad judges. But that's the only way that can be changed. And hopefully we'll win an appeal if it is, but I don't see how anybody can challenge it. I don't see how they can challenge it.
Okay, so that happened. He signs an executive order so that he can have the Postmaster General stop mail from being, delivered in certain areas. Okay, and so I played that. That's what he did. And then this next one I'm going to open. It goes with that. Just give me a second. Darn, I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, it's this one. I think it's this one. Just give me 1 second. Oh God, I hate this when I do this. I always end up going to the wrong one. Here it is. All right. It says David Steiner, the U.S. Postmaster General, has informed Congress that USPS will not deliver mail-in ballots to states that refuse to comply with Trump's executive order, which ensures that people receiving mail-in ballots are U.S. citizens. And the Democrats are melting down. Now, I wanted to share that. I wanted you to see him signing it and talking about it and showing it, okay? Because he's trying to be transparent about what it is he's doing, okay? So he did that, and then you see him talking about it, and then we have this. This is the next thing. See, no matter what Trump does, it's never going to be good enough. And people are going to bitch and moan about Trump can't do anything. Trump should just arrest people. Trump should do this. Trump should do that. Trump is not a king, okay? We have laws and we have a constitution. Trump has to follow the constitution. That's what he's supposed to do. But now we have a federal judge on Thursday issued an injunction blocking the administration from carrying out President Trump's executive order directing the U.S. Postal Service to refuse delivery of mail-in ballots of states that won't verify their voters' identities. So every time Trump does anything and we have to drag it through court, it takes longer and longer and longer. The only thing you can do is find out if it's your state, if someone in your state is the one pushing this stuff. Okay, we got to stop this kind of crap from happening and get rid of these judges. Because if we get rid of these judges, the ones that they keep calling, just like he said if they get a rogue judge to do this, I don't see how it'll last. But the thing is, it still takes days and days and days and weeks and maybe months, okay, to get this shit fixed. And that's what's taking so long. That's why we see all the evidence, we see all the stuff that they've collected, yet we can't do much because every single time he does anything, he's got a judge sitting there saying, nope, can't do that. I'm not going to let you do this. I'm not going to let you do that. Fuck you, basically, to the American people. So until we just have to back our president, just like I've seen most people doing, and just keep doing that, because that's really the only choice we have, is that we have to defend our president, and hopefully it'll end up working. It'll work out. But I wanted to share this today. But before I play this, I want to play this for you. So give me 1 second. I got to pull it up. Okay. Some good shit. Okay, because this made me kind of proud when this guy, he's going to tell you about his 5-year-old son, and his son was suspended from school, and he's going to explain it to you. And I think it's great, because I wish we had more dads like this.
My 5-year-old is suspended from school for fighting. And evidently, I didn't react to the situation the way that the school administration thought I was going to. I get a phone call, I'm at work. Principal says, hey, your son got in a fight at school today. All right, is he okay? He's fine. We're going to need you to come in and talk about it. You want me to come in before school tomorrow or after school today, or how you want to handle this? He said, well, no, you got to come right now because your son's not going to be able to stay in school today. I said, well, you just told me he was fine. Oh, no. He is fine, sir, but he's going to have to be removed from school today. So not fully understanding what the problem is, I leave work and I go to the school to have our little sit-down powwow. And you got the principal, you got the assistant principal, you got a counselor, you got a school nurse, and you got my son, and you got this other kid. Okay? And I look at my son, I say, you all right, son? He said, yes, sir. I said, all right. The principal, kind of steps in between and starts talking. I said, no, sir, hold on. I said, son, what happened here today? My son proceeds to tell me the story. He said, this kid right here was picking on me at recess. And he wouldn't stop. And I said, son, did you ask him to stop picking on you? He said, yes, sir. I said, how many times did you ask him to stop picking on you? He said, 1 time, sir. Did he hear you ask? He said, yes, sir, he did. I turned to the principal and I says, hey, so what's the problem here? The principal goes on to tell me, look, we cannot promote this kind of behavior in the schools. And I said, I agree completely. Bullies should be reprimanded for their actions. I have absolutely no discord with that. I agree 100%. Kind of puzzled, the principal looks at me, he says, no, well, yeah, you can't have bullying, but we can't have fighting in school. The kid was bullying my son. My son asked the child to stop. The child did not, and he felt the repercussions of his actions. I don't see the problem here. He said, we have a 0 tolerance for fighting. I said, this wasn't a fight. Clearly, my son beat the crap out of this kid, this bully. He said, your son's going to be suspended for 3 days. I said, is that so? He said, yes, sir. We can't have fighting in the school, no matter what. He should have told a teacher. well, what was the kid doing to bully him? He said, well, we don't exactly know. And I said, so how do you know that he was able to tell a teacher? What if the kid was in his way? What if the kid was pushing him? What if the kid had hands on my son? I said, if you don't know the situation, how are you going to reprimand my son when you don't know what happened? Zero tolerance policy, sir. He's got a 3-day suspension. I said, that's fine. Not a problem at all. I turned to my son. I looked at the kid that he beat up. And the kid that he beat up, I said, son, I'll tell you one thing. You're going to think twice before you bully my son again. I turned to my son. I gave him knuckles right there in the principal's office in front of everybody. I said, son, I'm proud of you. I said, you aren't suspended from school for 3 days. I said, you got a 3-day vacation. It's hunting season. Let's get out of here.
I loved it. I mean, because and the fact that he was brave enough to put this on social media and to do that and to do the fist bump in front of the principal and them and be proud of his son is important. And I wish we had more of that with dads and their kids, because the kid needs to know that their parents are behind them. When you tell your son or your daughter that I trust you, I'm proud of you, I love you, all those nurturing things that we're supposed to get, it's good for kids. Kids need to know that mom and dad have my back, and that when I do something stupid, I can tell my parents, but they're going to love me anyways, and they're going to help me through whatever my problems are. If we just had more parents that did that, I think that a lot of our kids would have better time at doing things, you know what I mean, in their own life. So I just wanted to share that because I think that that's important that you know, that we do. And we share it with other people because it's important to know that there's nothing wrong with loving your kid and being proud of your kid, even if they got in a fight. It depends on the circumstances. Now, I can tell you right now, if it was my kid that was the bully, I wouldn't be proud of my son or my daughter for bully. And we should tell our kids being a bully isn't a good thing.
See, that's growing up, you know, my mom and dad always said, you never start the fight, you finish it. If I find out you started a fight, not only are you going to get capital punishment at school, you're getting it at home. So I'll bust your butt because I ain't going to let you be a bully.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it just one of the things that I just want to get along and do my thing and be left alone. And in my freshman year in high school, there was a bully that he broke my glasses. And I did not take that too well because not only was it that this bully was a heck of a lot bigger than me, because at the time I was like 5'1", and he was 6 foot something. And he broke my glasses by slamming my head into my desk in the middle of a classroom, in the middle of a class. And only one other student did something. He basically pulled him off of him. He said, you better stop. And when I looked at my broken glasses, I fought back by leaping over a guy that was like 6'3" that they kept begging him to join the football team, but he wouldn't do it. He said, I felt a brush going back of my head and over my head. And then the next thing we knew, Richard Alvin just slams into this football player's chest with his hands grabbing each of his jugglers and just used his body weight to pull him to the ground. Once they got to the ground and he could stand up, he started just like waving him in the air like a rag doll, slamming him into a wall, to the desk, to the wall again.
Yeah.
And then he let the football player go, and then the football player starts throwing punches, and he dodged the first two, and then he took the third one and smiled and grabbed him by the throat again and started throwing him around the room. And the funny thing is, our vice principal, when it was all done and over with, And his mother shows up, and my mom shows up. She had to come off the mountain, and that was an hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in front of the vice principal's office, looking at my broken glasses in my hands, going, this isn't good, because my mom and dad barely had the money to buy me these glasses in the first place. She comes in, the football player's mom was the first one to get there. And so they get taken into the vice principal's office. And the vice principal says, could you put the pieces of your glasses somewhere safe so nobody gets hurt on them? Okay. And I put them in my pocket. And when my mom shows up, she goes, okay, what happened? And I told her what happened while the football player and his mom was in the vice principal's office. She says, they said your glasses got broke. Can I see them? And I handed her my pieces of glasses. And she said, okay, here you go. And gave them back, and I put them back in my pocket. Then the vice principal comes in and says, okay, we'll talk with both boys and both mothers at the same time now. And then after they leave, I'm going to have the one-on-one with the two of you. So me and mom go in there, and we're sitting across from the football player and his mom. And I'm just sitting there, and the mom couldn't believe I fought back, as tiny as I was. And my mom said, and the vice principal says, we understand this fight got started because of this, and your glasses getting broken. And the vice principal says, can I see your glasses? And I started, as I pulled each piece of my glasses out, the mom, who was sitting with her legs crossed, kicked the bejesus out of her son as each piece came out of my pocket. And after it was done and over with, she reached over to my mom and says, I didn't raise my son to do things like this. Let me pay for you the new glasses, because I understand that you had a hard time buying these new glasses. And my mom said, no, it's okay. We got this. And then afterwards, I got 2 weeks after school detention, and the football player got 3 because he started the fight. And the mother looks at my mom, says, I will drive your son home, because I know y'all don't have a way of getting up here to get him.
Yeah.
And no, I've already got somebody who, my neighbor, who's agreed to bring him home. Okay. And then when it was just us and the vice principal's going like, I didn't want to have to punish your son because I've watched him all year take their shit. But I've got to do it. Mom said, that's fine. I always told him if he does something, he's got to take responsibility for it and deal with the consequences. And I'm like, yep, and I'm going to deal with the consequences. And the funny thing is, by the time we got back home, the house was packed with all of our neighbors, and they were like, it was a party environment. They're like, he fought back and he kicked a football player's ass. And my next door neighbor, who volunteered to, whenever he got off work, to pick me up at school and bring me home the entire way, he was like, okay, how did the fight go again? But yeah, it upsets me that the person who gets bullied and fights back gets punished just as hard as the bully who starts the fight. And to me, that's wrong.
Yeah, I think it's I don't see that happen in every school. I only see that happen in some schools.
Yeah.
A lot of times the kid that didn't do anything doesn't get anything, because I've seen videos of a bully stomping on another kid and stuff like that, and that kid didn't get suspended, the one that was attacked. So it just depends on the school system that you're in, and those parents need to start standing up and getting those rules changed, the ones whose kids are being bullied. But until something like that happens, there's not much you can do. That's why those school council meetings and all that stuff is important to go to as a parent. And you should try to go to as many of those things as you can. But this next thing is another thing that I thought was really important, because it has to do with Tulsi Gabbard's press conference. And this is Joe Rogan. He's talking to Taylor Sheridan. they're just having a conversation. He's the guy that wrote Yellowstone and stuff, that guy. And they're talking about this situation. And it's sad that you got to get somebody like Joe Rogan to talk about some people before even, the lowest liberals or whatever would even listen. You see what I mean? Because, if they think it's a certain person, doesn't matter what their evidence is. It's the fact that that person's saying it, that they just say, fuck you, I don't listen to those people. They're Nazis or whatever their dumb answers are. And that's the sad fact about it. That's why what Byron Donaldson was talking about earlier is it should be the American people, not the left or the right. And everything that these guys are going to talk about it shouldn't be left or right. That how can what this man did to everyone, Democrats, young, old, black, white, Asian, it didn't matter. He did it to all of these people. So your race or who you vote for should have nothing to do with whether what he did was right or wrong. See, that's where I'm having a hard time dealing with it, is because someone says, well, they had an R by their name, they deserve to die. See what I mean? When they had that, like me, I didn't get the jab, okay, and I never had COVID, but people thought I was trying to kill people because I didn't want to wear a mask and I didn't get jabbed up. Just because that was my preference, but why is my rights don't matter? See, that's the hard part for me. And that's why I try to see other people's point of view, because they have a right to have that point of view if it doesn't hurt other people. My point of view doesn't hurt anyone. So, but that person thinks it is because I didn't get the jab. And I'm thankful every day now that we know that I didn't. I just followed my instincts. But here we go.
Like you to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And this is why, Tulsi Gabbard in her final act as director of national intelligence that she's leaving, she gave that press conference about Fauci. And she talked about how he lied in front of Congress and that he absolutely used American tax funds to fund gain-of-function research through EcoHealth Alliance and through the Wuhan lab in Wuhan, China. And, no one's covering it.
No. And by the way, didn't we all know that already?
Well, we knew it, but my parents didn't. People that just read the newspapers and watch TV, they don't know.
I've never seen anything as flagrantly obvious as COVID coming from the Wuhan lab studying COVID.
Right.
I've never, and you've got fucking news anchors keeping a straight face saying it came from the wet market.
Did you ever see Jon Stewart's bit on it that he did on the Colbert Show?
No.
You never saw it?
No.
Oh, we need to play it. Let's play it because it's so funny, because Colbert tries to stop him from doing it and push back. And John, he's a great comic. He just gets up from his chair and gets louder and just plows through it.
Really?
Over Colbert's trying to cock block his bit. He's it's a funny bit. And he's getting in the way. Oh, I'd like to see, if you have information on that, I'd like to see it. And he just keeps going. He keeps plowing away. It's very funny. And it's in the middle of it, right? This was a courageous step, because he was doing this when calling it out and saying that it came from a lab in Wuhan, China was somehow or another conflated with racism. Remember that?
Yeah.
If you said it came from Wuhan, China, from a lab, you're racist.
Yeah.
How did you pull that off? It's no one's saying anything. It's racist. It's from fucking China. And it seems like EcoHealth Alliance funded it. And it seems like we funded EcoHealth Alliance.
Yes.
There's a lot of fucking paperwork.
And by the way, there's studies on the fucking disease that they've been doing that are posted on the CDC website. They're posted on the fucking, my favorite was when you catch all the shit about ivermectin.
Yeah.
And literally when that happened, I went, oh, I'll fucking look that up. Look up ivermectin and studies with ivermectin. And a study pops up on the CDC website while people are telling us to not take that shit. And it talks about the efficacy of ivermectin and antiviral properties, specifically COVID-19.
Yeah.
So it's on the government website that the fucking drug works. while they're telling everyone to not take it.
And they're mocking me for taking the
Yes.
horse dewormer. Wild times in the news, because I think from then on, that sort of sent a shockwave through the majority of the population, where just whatever trust they had in the news just got severely eroded.
Yeah.
And if we don't have good news, if we don't have trust in the news, then we're kind of adrift. And then you get locked into fucking conspiracy theories and echo chambers online, and you can get trapped in them too. And that's not good either.
Yeah. Then there's nowhere to go get information.
Has anybody in NBC, CBS, CNN, have any of those people picked up on that Tulsi Gabbard speech about Fauci and had any sort of a reaction to it? I'd like to know that, because from what I was reading online, none of them had. But this.
But also during that whole thing, like he was saying about the ivermectin, I know people, not because they were smart or anything like that. They didn't have health insurance. They didn't have any health insurance. They didn't have a lot of money. Maybe they had 2 or 3 jobs, and they would get sick and have, like strep throat or whatever. They think they had COVID or whatever else. And you know what? They would go to the vet, not to the vet, but to the PetSmart. Okay. And they would buy different kinds of antibiotics for their fish. Okay. Then they would go to the health food store and get those little empty capsules to put your vitamins in, your herbs and whatever. And they would make their own stuff, and they were taking that. So they didn't tell people because they would be made fun of, like, oh, you're taking animal drugs. Oh, you're so stupid, that kind of stuff. So a lot of people are getting smarter. That's like I said, people were saying, Trump's not going to win, because the numbers, on the news and all these little reports and stuff were saying the numbers were lower than that. Trump's never going to win. But what was happening is, what I believe is that they weren't telling people they were going to vote for Trump. They would just not say anything, and their friends happened to be liberal, so they just would go in and do the box or whatever and leave, and no one would know, and they wouldn't do the exit poll or whatever, which is fine, and it should be private. That's why you're not supposed to go over there and hover over them while the person's voting. It's nobody's business what person you want to vote for. And just like I said about the census, what difference does it make what your skin color is when you're filling out a census?
Yeah.
How does that affect a school? Is it saying, well, this school's only for whites, or is this only for blacks? You see what I mean? It doesn't matter what your race is. I mean, yeah, you need to know about male and female and ages, because you need to know if you got enough schools, you've got enough hospital room, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff matters in the census. But your sex, your race has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So I don't ever fill it out, even though I know that when they get it, they know who I am or whatever. I just think it's ridiculous that they still ask that. To me, the most racist entity in our country is government.
Yeah.
They're the ones constantly saying this, that, and the other about race all the time. You're a racist, you're a racist, you're racist. All these people doing different things, just like what he said. Just because, of this, we said that we think it came from China. Well, we're racist. See, they just use it. They've thrown it around so much that it doesn't mean anything anymore. It has no meaning. And that's what they do with so many things that once were important and meant something to people and would help you make decisions in your life growing up, but they've made it so trivial now that, people just kind of like, they're getting to where they have to find more and more extreme trigger words to get the same effect racist used to be. But let me go back to the thing. I'm sorry, I went on a rant, but I just wanted to add that about the whole thing when he was talking about the horse wormer. So I wanted to bring it up about people using animal.
Well, in times like, I don't know about you, I like post-apocalyptic story settings and games. And I can't remember the name of the movie, but there was a post-apocalyptic TV show that came out that was it was one of those reality shows to where they took all these people, put them in a situation where there was a pandemic and they were having to survive, and they had all these fake towns and stuff that they were supposed to go through and salvage things to be able to survive, building survival stuff, water purifiers and things of this nature.
Yeah.
And they did they went all out with a multimedia campaign that included that was with Facebook. And the Facebook thing that they did was it was all set up to where it used your friends, people in your friends list, in a simulated town hall meetup type thing.
Yeah.
And all
I
these
don't
people,
remember this.
and the people were asking questions about where I could get we're sick, we don't know where to get medicine and things of this nature. And I was posting in there about, hey, if you really need medicine, 3 places you can go that hasn't been ransacked, like all the pharmacies. Go to animal hospitals, because it's the same drugs, just different doses. Ditto with going to farm supply stores, because they have the same drugs there.
Co-op.
And then also go to the pet care stores, because they sell the stuff that we have to have prescriptions for over the counter there.
Yeah, because it's like in a packet that says fish antibiotic for the whatever scale problem they have, things, and turtles or reptiles, but it's the same stuff. It really is. And so many people do it, and they were able, they look it up online on WebMD about how much your body weight, blah, blah, blah. And they get their own capsules, and they were doing that. So, I'm not saying that you should do it. I'm just saying that they did it because they felt like they had no other option, because they couldn't get it. They were being told they had to do this and they had to do that by the people they didn't trust to even get the shot from. See? So it was, it forced a lot of people to have to go out and figure out things for themselves. And it reminded me of, the TV show Survivor and some of the other shows like The Walking Dead, because when you're forced into a situation, you start seeing the people you don't going to trust, and then you start looking at other people and you're saying, that person I think is someone I can trust, and you start getting alliances together. And that's how people will be able to survive, is because you're going to have groups that start gathering together, and each of them are going to add something different to their group.
That's actually in the prepper community referred to as a mutual aid support group. I did a major report when I was in not high school, but in college, my second time through college. And I did a very in-depth report on prepping. And it's hilarious, during COVID and a couple of other things, people that made fun of me for giving this report contacting me, goes, "Oh my God, you actually everything we're dealing with right now, you predicted it and how to deal with it." I thought being a prepper was just insane, instead of just being a common sense, be prepared for anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way it is. And what is he saying there for?
Oh, he was singing a song. It's a song that we've played a few times in Discord and stuff. It's a song that he likes. So,
this was as a.
Sorry, I wasn't saying I'm gonna get back to this and finish this interview real quick.
Sweet.
But go ahead.
But yeah.
Oh, okay.
It frustrates me that people don't get being prepared. It's like one of the things I love about the Mormon people is part of being a Mormon is having a year's supply of food to feed your family in times of crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things that I wished I could do. Right now, I do have enough dried rice and dried beans and things of this nature in storage to be able to feed my family for 6 months. But that's as far as my preps go.
Well, the thing is you remember our ancestors, not a long time ago, maybe 1 or 2 generations from us, knew how to can.
Yeah, we did that.
Jerky. I know how to make a few things that you can, use in air zip bags and keep it and store it and put it away for a while. But a lot of people used to be able to do that, like pickle eggs. I know how to do that. There's just a few things I can do, but I have a sister that can do make jelly, because each of us wanted to learn something different because, it just depends. I know how to sew. I can make costumes, jackets, clothes. I know how to crochet. I can make blankets,
You want to hear something? You want to hear something funny? I learned how to sew doll clothes because I had to babysit my little sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And me making them doll clothes kept them quiet. They'd sit there and watch me make their dolls' clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to the Navy, people made fun of the fact I knew how to sew until they needed ranking insignia and stuff sewed onto their uniforms.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to wait the month of sending it through the ship's laundry. And I could just, and they give me $10. This was like in 1990. $10. $10 was three McRibs. So I'm like, $10.
But see, that's what I'm saying. People will gravitate towards people if in a time of need, let's say, certain things are happening or whatever, and you go, oh, I remember so-and-so, they can do this. And I can remember so-and-so, they can do that. So those are 2 people we need to get a hold of and bring into our group because we're going to need that, you see? And that will happen. And that's why don't burn all your bridges because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And you might need their help tomorrow.
Yep, that, like I said, that's called a mutual support, a mutual aid support group. And one of the things I learned when I was writing my report, even though they were on the other side of the country, they were very careful with letting anybody know about the preparations that they had taken and where they stored it, because they're rightfully afraid that if the shit hit the fan, people would be showing up at their door because they know you've got food, you've got medicines, help us live. And it's like I tell people, when you do that, that's your family's life raft. And you have planned it, unless you have planned for more people to be in your life raft, you've just got enough for them. And it goes back to the whole thing of charity begins at home. You have to start. It all starts and ends with securing your family, and having that safe space.
And you need to have a good rapport with these people because when others, especially in a situation where a lot of people are going to have to go without something or a lot of things, it's going to make you a target when you have more. Okay. So you're going to need people you trust. I think I've said this in many, many of my shows, around you, because you got to sleep. You gotta have time to do that.
Do you remember the name? I can't remember this guy's name. He was the big survivalist in the 80s that started a whole subgenre of survivalist people that would.
No, I don't remember.
At a moment's notice.
My dad was like that. My dad was jungle survival. So
they would grab a bunch of guns and ammo and then head for the hills. Rule of thumb, they said, is one full tank of gas away from a nuclear target to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And they focused on the marital aspects of survival, having a cache of supplies, your weapons, knowing how to use your weapons, and maintaining them. But they never really focused on the survival aspects of it after that everything has got to settled to a point to where you could actually start agriculture and things of this nature. They never focused on that. But the modern day preppers, they focus on more than just, I need guns, I need food, and I need medicine all stocked up in my big ass bunker. The actual modern day prepper are focusing on skill sets, knowing skills, being able to do stuff. And did you grow up in the 80s or the 90s?
In both, a little here and then a little bit more on the other. But the thing is,
do you remember the survivalist trope of the survivalist bad guy in the bunker? That was a big issue back then.
No,
because they did early 80s, a lot of the post-apocalyptic movies would have the bad guys would be survivalists turned raiders. And
no, I don't remember that, where they would go and steal stuff from other people.
Yes, because they had
that's
guns.
what my dad, he tried to show us how you take 2 pieces of balsa wood, okay, and then you use 2 little branches that you break off, and you put the 2 pieces of balsa wood like that, and you put it in a hole in the ground that's really very narrow, it's very low, in a place where you think someone might step. And then you take wire, okay, and he took the wire and he set it all up, showed me how to hook it to the 2 pieces of balsa wood using tree sap, okay, so he did that. And then so that when they stepped on the 2 pieces of wood, the 2 wires would touch each other. Well, the other end of the wire was hooked to a grenade, but we didn't hook it to a grenade, we hooked it to a flash bulb, right? And when we did, he had us make, me and a couple of my friends, because my sisters weren't interested, to show us how to make booby traps to let us know that someone's coming, and they're gonna take your stuff, what you worked on or whatever. And it was so neat because when you stepped on it, the flashlight would go off. So I knew it would work, just little things like that. And that's what my dad he taught people how to do, especially people like pilots that crashed and they needed to be able to sleep, to stay healthy, to be able to get where they needed to go, away from the enemy, to be saved or to be helped. So that's the kind of stuff he would teach us, and how to build a fire, how to clean a fish, what to eat in the woods, all this type of stuff. But yeah, I was real into all that with my dad, but my sisters weren't. But I think everyone should have some type of skills. To me, it's just as important as learning how to change a tire on a flat, especially if you're traveling and you're somewhere you don't know where you're at. You're just going to stand there on the side of the road and wait till someone comes and helps you, or you're going to try to change your own tire and get back on the road. See, so it's, all that stuff, it matters. But, if you're not willing to do that, then more than likely you're not going to be you're going to end up being the one that's at the very back of the line when it's time to eat. You're going to be at the very back of the line for everything because you have no skills. You have nothing that's going to push you ahead at the front because you know how to do something. You know what I mean? So to give you a notch in your belt so that you're needed. You see what I mean? You still need to stay around because you're needed for something. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this interview real quick.
Whether or not that's changed, I don't know if they were preparing an article and they wanted to make sure that they got all their ducks in a row.
I would think pretty much any time the head of an institute is begging for a pardon when he hasn't been charged with any crime, is pretty good indicator. You might want to look and see if there's been a crime committed.
Was he begging for a pardon? I mean,
Fauci was like, he had attorneys. This is in part of that deal. He had attorneys reaching out to Biden's camp the last day when he got the pardon.
Jeez.
The very last day.
Jeez. It's just a preemptive pardon is nuts, especially when Rand Paul's questioning him and he's talking to him about specifically about what defines gain of function research. And by all account, by every definition, it's gain of function research. And Fauci's still saying, you do not know what you are talking about, with all due respect.
Even though he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Rand Paul's a fucking doctor.
He's an actual doctor.
And then they say, well, you're an eye doctor. Well, that's my specialty. But before I became an eye doctor, I became a general doctor, which means I studied all the same shit that Fauci studied.
Yeah.
You got to go through medical school before you go pick a specialty. So 4 years of studying the entire body before you specialize in whatever you're going to specialize in.
Well, it's also then if you read RFK Jr.'s book, The Real Anthony Fauci, you find out he ran this exact same playbook during the AIDS pandemic. It was the exact same playbook. That's what the Dallas Buyers Club is about. The Dallas Buyers Club, that McConaughey movie about AIDS, the fucking villain is Anthony Fauci.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted you guys to hear that because that's what we talked about that, didn't we? And it naturally came up, the whole thing about the AIDS. See, people are smart. If they can have time to sit and listen, but listen to other people. That's what's important about reading, listening to other people, and trying to gather as much information as you can, because to see the transformation of this man right here, for me, is interesting, because this was a person that I wouldn't have trusted with nothing 5 years ago. There's no way, because he was so left-leaning. Feel the burn. He voted for Bernie Sanders. This is a guy
he endorsed Bernie Sanders.
An open communist. Okay, this is a person that 5 years ago would have been voted for what's going on in New York City. See what I'm saying? So look what the difference is between then and now by just listening to what he's saying. He sounds like he's learned some common sense to me.
Yeah.
And just like I said, I don't care who you vote for, but if your voting is doing it to affect my life and take away my rights, then it matters to me. See, I don't try to take your rights away. I've never voted for anything that's going to come and confiscate your property, or come in your house and take your things, or fire you from your job. None of those things. So I don't care. Those things aren't important to me. I care about my home, what's going on in my house, and you should have the same right to have that. But when those same people say, well, it's okay for these people to come over the border and we don't know who they are, or they've never had one vaccination or any of these things, but they're trying to force me to get a vax. See, that's what I'm talking about. That does not make any sense. There's no common sense or logic in that. Yet they forced our veterans and our soldiers and other people to get it. But then they say that people work for the post office don't have to get it. See, there was too many things in there that made me go, something's not right with that. That where's the balance in that? How does that work? Forcing one group of people, but then letting the other people off. It doesn't make any sense. How is that supposed to be healthier for people? You see it. That's when I knew it was a farce. It was a farce. I knew it was fake.
I can't remember. I think we had this conversation about my friends in the military at Fort Bragg. That was, first sergeant was talking about the fact that his entire career, the number of people who had died in their sleep, he could count on one hand. At the base, and usually those were people who had drowned in their own vomit because they'd gotten so drunk.
Yeah.
But within a very short period of time, they had like 20 or I think it was like maybe 30 young 18-year-old healthy men and women just dying in their sleep. And there's a mortician in the UK, because it's a very rare skill to find in the UK. He has to go all over the counties in the UK. He's got a large section that he has to go to to prepare bodies for funeral and embalming and things of this nature. And he was having a hard time. He was able to drain their blood, but he was having a hard time getting the embalming fluid in. So he had to start cutting open bodies to figure out what was going on. And he found this fibrous growths inside their bloodstreams. And these were all young, healthy people. And the only thing they all shared in common was, guess what?
They got the vaccine.
Yes. And
yeah, I got something to show you then. Here we go.
He took that before Parliament. And the only reason why he did not lose his job is the fact he was one of the few morticians still practicing his craft. So they couldn't penalize him on it. All they said is that they basically told the BBC and all the government-owned news media they could not carry what he was saying on their screens.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
But here, this was when you started saying that, I wanted to share this because this is a person who does an embalming for their job, and they're from Canada. So listen to this.
Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. And I don't understand why, as a funeral director, I'm the one sort of blowing the whistle. Middle-aged people that were dying not at the normal time of the day, right? So they come home, have dinner, and die. And there'd be family present in their home, average, normal people. So that was a problem because that's new. You can't live with something like that in your body for a length of time. I mean, I was shocked that the people that I was seeing were living with that amount of that material in their circulatory system. I call them white fiber masses. And that's because they're an anomaly that I've never seen before in 27 years as an embalmer and a funeral director. They're solid, so they're not tubular. They are solid right through. They are an exact cast of what the circulatory system looks like inside our bodies. And they often have a current jelly clot incorporated into the tentacles of the white fiber masses. I was seeing that the white fiber masses were getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. There's Australian embalmers, there's British embalmers, and now I'm having Canadian embalmers that I talk to that their experiences have been basically the same. They have the same concerns, and now they're expressing that they're absolutely in fear for their own lives and the lives of their family and friends.
Yeah, I thought that was I had that for later on, but when you brought it up, I was like, well, I guess it's a good time to bring it up because that's one of the exact same things that I wanted to share, is because it's a fact. It's happening. More and more and more people are seeing it. But the thing is, 2 years ago, my friend I was telling you about, how I met Chris Moore, she was in her kitchen one day. Her mother had died, and she started trying to understand what happened. Why did my mom die? How come she got cancer and died so fast? And then she had went, and got the shots and stuff. And she decided to check her own blood and see what it looked like under a microscope. And she said that God told her to buy one of those microscopes that you could take videos with and stuff. So she did. And her family thought she was crazy because she was using her kitchen like a lab to look at her blood. And then she started going through her kitchen and finding herbs and spices and different chemicals and putting it in the blood with a dropper to see how her blood would react to it. And she had bunches of it on video. But over time, she started realizing that some water supplies have the same thing in it that our blood does. So it's like they're trying to find any way they can to make sure that we all get it. Get the vaccine or whatever you want to call it. So, and she showed a bunch of this stuff on there, and she talked about how she found the right mixture of herbs, and stuff to make the the supplements that she's made to help people with their blood, and she'll do an analysis herself. It's just really interesting how she did it. And she wasn't a doctor or anything like that. She said she had a dream and that God told her that she needed to do this. She's going to help people. And that's what she started doing. And that was one of the first videos I had taken down.
Yeah.
By, because they said that was medical misinformation, blah, blah, blah. Even though we said we're not doctors, she's just a grandma in her kitchen, using
that's
a
one of those
microscope.
times. That's why I like Rumble. Whenever I have something that needs to cut.
Well, see, I didn't know at the time that they were going to throw a tantrum over it.
So it's the same reason why when we do the rape gang inquiry report, it's going to be that deep dive is going to be a Rumble exclusive.
Yeah.
Just because of the free speech issues here on YouTube. We should be able to discuss anything as long as we're not calling for violence.
Yeah.
That's where I stand. I'm called the American Patriot because I could not use the nickname that the Marines initially gave me, and that was Captain America. Because I loved the United States, and I would talk about the Constitution, what it meant about the founding of our nation. And the Marines I hung out with it always greatly impressed them. And they considered me a super patriot. And in the comics at the time, that was a big deal, because there was a comic that came out with the character the super patriot that ended up becoming U.S. agent. But anyway, I consider myself politically a conservative, constitutional libertarian, because I want as limited of a government as we possibly can have. Because the bigger government gets, the more corrupt it gets. That is a historically proven time after time after time.
Too many hands in the cookie jar. So, and then you start rubbing elbows with everyone. That's what my mother always said.
Yep. And it frustrates me because people try to think that I'm cold-hearted, but if the people that know me will tell you, no, he is one of the kindest, most compassionate people you'll ever meet. He will give you the clothes off his own back. I have housed homeless people in the past to help them get back on their feet. And that's a family thing. We would help people in need. Even when we didn't have much, we were still helping others. And it frustrates me because I hate being called stuff I'm not, because I know what it's like to be falsely accused of something and then have my entire life destroyed over it. And I hate that, and I don't want to see anybody else go through it.
Yeah.
And this whole mess with the way that we've been dehumanized for over 50 years now. It upsets me, and it makes me want to try to find a way to deal with it. And that's why I created my channel. God was putting it on my heart. Stark of Iron interviewed me on his channel about everything I'd been through, and did my life story in 4 Saturdays.
Yep.
And we went for 2 to 3 hours at a time to get through everything.
Yeah.
And everybody kept telling me, you need to start a channel. You need to start a channel. You need to start a channel. My sisters, all 3 of them were like, you need to start a channel. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to make a channel. And Tony helped me come up with the name. And he also helped me get everything, get the ball rolling to do it. And so I greatly respect him. I consider him a YouTube mentor. And I love him like my brother, because to me, he is my brother. And I just think that when I made my channel, it was all about bringing people together with diverse outlooks and get them to come together, sit around the campfire, and have these conversations and prove to the world that you can disagree with somebody and not hate them, that you can be friends with somebody you disagree with, because
Yeah.
that was how I've lived my life. I had a lot of friends who were more left wing than I was. I actually had a college professor whose family was in really major Democrat elected positions, who said that if I ever ran for office, he would vote for me, even if I ran as a Republican, because I put the Constitution first. I put the country first. I did not like party politics. It was all about the issues, period. And he said that because of that, he would vote for me no matter what. And that to me was the biggest compliment I got paid, got given during my first time going to college, was having a teacher say that, you know. And all right, yeah, that's true. That's just if there isn't balance to it because they don't want balance. Yeah, we're dealing with that right now, Omen, because
if you're not flat-footed, okay, and you're trying to get your balance right, you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, are you?
That's right.
You're just trying to get where you feel safe and steady on your feet. Well, if you keep everybody that way, they're not paying attention to half the things that are going on around them, and they're easier to control when they're in fear. See what I mean?
Yep.
So that's what they do. They're good at it. They've been doing it for 100 years. They're good at causing people to worry about, their next meal. Everyone was talking the same people. What's funny is the same people that bash the Jews and stuff are the ones that bashing Trump. And they also say stuff like, they were saying, oh, he's going to ruin it for us. And it's going to end up being $200 a barrel for oil, or nobody's going to be able to drive their vehicles and all this stuff. And look, it's already going down because he's already, because of some of the things that he's done and the way he's done it, he's already got the, the prices going down for the price of oil. So, I just want people to realize you got to give him his due. He took a bullet. You might as well let him see what he can do in the next 2 years instead of spending every single day till then. Oh, he sucks. Oh, he sucks. He sucks. Look what he's done. He's making it worse. I don't think it's worse. I think it's better than it was. I really do. Especially now that we know about the fraud. Because if you didn't even know about it, it's still going to be happening tomorrow and the day after and the day after. And we're still losing all this money. And we're like wondering how, no wonder everything's so bloated, when you're taking trillions of dollars and spending it on so much other shit. It has nothing to do with any of the stuff they said they were going to spend it on, infrastructure or whatever.
I look at it this way. Is a constructive criticism coming from a neutral place that's trying to make things better. And I have my issues with Trump.
Yeah.
I admit that freely. When he does when Trump is good, he's good. When Trump is bad, he's bad. And I call it out. And it frustrates me. It's like when Obama was in office, everything he did, the media protected and defended it. Period. No matter how messed up it was. When he killed American citizens during his unrestricted drone warfare. Was one of, to me, a war crime, a crime against humanity, because he was using drone strikes so much it wasn't even funny. That he killed 2 American citizens in the middle of a crowded street at a coffee house. This American citizen, Alwaki, I think was his name. He was sitting in this busy coffee shop on the corner of a busy street,
Mm-hmm.
and they hit it with Hellfire missiles, killed a whole bunch of people. 6 or 7 hours later, when this guy's 16-year-old son went to see where his daddy died, they drone striked it again, while all the emergency services people were trying to get the people who were still alive out of the rubble.
Mm-hmm.
He also did this. He would drone strike weddings just because, the roommate of the cousin of this particular terrorist might be at this wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we went from having a lot of goodwill in the Middle East to none.
Yeah.
It's outright hatred.
Well, they have a lot of reasons to hate us because we've had so many criminals involved in the way things are done. And I think a lot of people are hoping that Trump, at least from their perspective, is going to come in and fix a lot of things. And I heard the same, from a lot of people from different countries that they wish they had, a person like Trump running their country.
Well,
So,
look at what's been going on in the current elections in Central and South America.
mm-hmm.
Trump-like figures that are supported by Trump have been winning
Mm-hmm.
hands down in those elections, which kind of in many ways corresponds with the fact that U.S. aid money isn't going there no more.
Yeah, I know that we talked about that before, but I do believe that. I believe that it takes time though, sometimes once the money's turned off to see the aftermath of that. And it could be this time next year, before we see a lot of the others suffering for whatever they were spending the money on. But I want to share this real quick. I think it's really, really, really good because Mike Lindell was sued by the people that made the voting machines that we have so much evidence proving that these things are too easy to hack, get online with and stuff like that. But Mike Lindell had they dropped all their charges that they were trying to go against him. So I wanted to play this real quick for everybody so you can hear it.
Begin today with breaking news. A major legal battle involving Mike Lindell has come to an end. The voting technology company, formerly known as Dominion Voting Systems, now operating as Liberty Vote, has agreed to dismiss a $1.3 billion defamation lawsuit against Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Court filings show both sides agreed to drop all claims with prejudice. That means the case cannot be refiled. The lawsuit stemmed from Mike's repeated claims that Dominion helped rig the 2020 presidential election, allegations the company strongly denied. The dismissal marks a significant end to one of the most closely watched election-related lawsuits stemming from the 2020 presidential race. I am just celebrating the good news coming out of this. Tell us about this legal case and what the latest is.
Well, here it is, everybody. This is the second one now. Remember, the evidence, the $5 million challenge got overturned last summer, and they said Mike was right. This is all about the voting machine evidence. And now yesterday, if you don't see it in the news, they did one article out there from Law and Crime. Dominion dropped the lawsuit against Mike Lindell and MyPillow. That was yesterday. So, and I just want everybody to know it doesn't mean anything that I'm going to stop fighting these voting machine companies to, it was a nice gesture, but we're all in to get them, get rid of them, get to paper ballots hand counted. And here I'm going to announce right now, it should be within the next half hour. we're going to be posting on Lindell TV, everybody. It's 800-page historical drop of the voting machine evidence. This has never been seen before. A lot of it we have bits and pieces were out there. This has been compiled over the last 5 years. This will be right here on Lindell TV. It'll be posted, like I say, in about 20 minutes. We're doing a press release on it, and anyone that ever tells you then, Vanessa, that ever says, oh, there's no evidence, this is like a library. It's a historical library with 500 and some articles and 100% evidence that back each thing up. This was actually part of this given to the president when he was told by when he walked off that's reporter a few weeks ago, and he re-truthed it. So it's a very exciting day. We're going to tie in, all this stuff going on, and then but it is people, it is a relief for me that I don't have to MyPillow, which never did anything when Dominion sued them for $1.3 billion with a B, everybody. And my employees had to sit and worry about that because their CEO is out there practicing his free speech. And so this is a big relief. So we got 2 down. We are also appealing. The appeal just went out. It'll go out today. The Colorado case that MyPillow won a year ago. Vanessa, you were there. MyPillow won, and this is the last piece of that where we're putting in the appeal, and hopefully they rule on that very fast. It seems like the voting machine companies are falling like dominoes here. And then we have the last one you'll see in the news, Smartmatic here in Minneapolis. That's like a parked car. It's sitting there because if everybody remembers, the judge made a ruling before even going to trial that I defamed them. And then a week later, it came out that Smartmatic is in fact committing crimes with their company, with their voting machines and against other countries. And a lot of that will be coming out too. But that was funny with that one because I'm going, okay, a week after this judge makes this ruling here in Minneapolis, it all comes out that, yes, it's a criminal organization, basically. It's like I defamed the mafia, right? I figured it'd be like my cousin Vinny going, okay, in light of the new evidence, case dismissed. But according to my lawyers, that's not how it is. It can just sit there like a parked car, and, judges can sit on it as long as they want.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I'm glad that it finally is winding down. But the fact that they're changing their name, these companies, they had those machines, they're changing their name and trying to just slowly leak into the woodwork, because they don't want to have all this stuff that's coming out come out. They just rather not see it at all. So that is really nice. You know what I mean? It's really nice to see something good for a change. But here, I wanted to close tonight with this because I think it's awesome. It's another happy thing because I try to have good shit on the shit show also. So I'm going to play this because I think it's awesome. It says, President Trump reveals his administration is working on national right to carry. This would be an absolutely huge step towards bringing back the true meaning of the Second Amendment. So I want to share this because I think it's really, really good.
The NRA, everybody, they really have been. They've been with me right from the beginning. And Bill asked me, would I support the national right to carry legislation? How do you feel about national right to carry? Yeah. That's my free poll. You know what that is? That's a free poll. I don't have to pay $300,000 to somebody that doesn't even do polling, to give you phony numbers. See, those are real numbers. National right to carry. Yeah, we're working on it. The NRA, everybody, they really have been. They've been with me right from the beginning.
Awesome.
And Bill asked me, would I support the national right to carry legislation? How do you feel about national right to carry? That's my free poll. You know what that is? That's a free poll. I don't have to pay $300,000 to somebody that doesn't even do polling, to give you phony numbers. See, those are real numbers. National right to carry. Yeah, we're working on it. The NRA, everybody, they really have been. They've been with me right from the beginning.
That is
So
really
cool.
good. Yeah, it's really good. I'm thankful because little things like this. But the thing is, if it's done with an executive order, it doesn't help us. We have got to get our Congress to give us what we want. We asked to get the people back over the border where they belong so they can't keep committing crimes, and that we're not emptying our coffers, taking care of them instead of our veterans, things like that, right? And slowly I'm seeing Trump do a lot of these things, but he's having to do it with an executive order because we can't get Congress to do anything. And that's why I think that they're in on destroy Trump agenda. Don't let him get anything. Don't give him nothing. He has got 0 recess appointments. Did you know that? Compared to all these other presidents that have hundreds of them, Trump has none, not a single one, because every time they do what they're doing right now, they send someone in just to bang the gavel, so he doesn't have the right to do it. So I just think it's sad that we have so many people that just hate him. I didn't even want him first. I wanted Ben Carson. That's who I was rooting for. And I wasn't for Trump at all, because after seeing him on some of his shows, I just said, I just didn't know if he was presidential material, because he's always got some, some stupid comment to make sometimes. But I think he's I don't know. He's impressed me a lot. Okay. Especially when he does certain things. It just makes me feel I'm happy to have him as president. I'm so thankful we didn't get the other one. The opposite side.
Well, I look at it both when it came to, I've said this before, I'll say it again. My vote for Trump in 2016 was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton. And he earned my vote in 2020 and 2024 because he said this is what he wanted he would do as president. He got into office the first time, and he worked his butt off trying to do everything he promised he'd do, except for putting Hillary in jail. And in a way, I get it, because if he would have done that, they would have been able to say, see, he's being a fascist, putting political opponents in jail. Because they would ignore all the criminal shit that she had been doing. Even if they had her on video raping, killing, and eating a 2-month-old infant, they would still make the accusations. No. This is him just being a fascist and going after his political opponents. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that the Democrat Party is a supervillain with the best PR machine on earth. Because they can get away with anything. It's like the fact that they keep trying to tie Trump to Epstein, even though the FBI has repeatedly stated that Trump was the one that was giving them insider information that allowed them to get close enough to take Epstein down. All of the victims have come out and said that Trump wasn't one of the people that victimized them. And it's so frustrating that all the evidence is showing he had nothing to do with it, except for bringing it out into the open and doing something about it. And the people are like, well, why haven't they released the entire Epstein list? Well, what they have released so far is the only thing they've redacted was the names of the victims. And if you'll read
there's video, there's photographs, there's tons of documents. There's telephone recordings. There's all kinds of stuff up on the website, the government website, that any of you could go to and go through. But I have been told by a few people that is a lot of tough stuff in there. That if you're sensitive to certain things, you shouldn't go look at it, because you're going to have nightmares and stuff. But they said, if you want to know, you just find a friend that can do it, that's not that, sensitive about it, and let them relay a lot of the stuff, the parts, especially when they're getting, really deep.
Yeah,
And
that's one of the reasons why I want to do the deep dive on the on Tuesday, because several of my normal co-hosts don't want to do it because the subject matter is just too heavy for
not
them.
easy. I mean, heck, I cry watching a movie yesterday because, and I knew it wasn't even real. You know what I mean? Just because I have a big heart for when it comes to kids, and when the actor was holding the hands of his mother and she dies, that was hard to deal with. I'm very attuned to that type of thing. But the thing is, you can't bury your head in the sand either.
Yeah, it's like I
That's
said,
even worse.
I'm reading through this report crying, and I have to stop for a while before I go back to it. And I might end up just going and getting Asmongold, where he reads the whole thing and putting it on and just listening to it.
Yeah.
Because whenever I'm reading it, it just, it's just really, really bad.
All of it. But there's not really much we can do except for just keeping as much information out, get it out as fast as we can, get people to go back and read and research, try to connect the dots in other areas and things like that. That's basically all we have. And to dress properly, I guess, for the gym so you don't get kicked out. But
what gets me about this is the fact that I've got friends in other European countries that have said that this particular demographic's doing the same thing in those countries as well. And it's making me wonder, could the same thing be happening here? And that makes me ask the question of, holy shit, is there something here happening like that here? And especially in the reports talking about the fact that one of the reasons why they were able to get away with this stuff is the fact that there were people of this demographic that was doing this stuff that was in positions, political positions and law enforcement positions and everywhere else. And anytime the victims would go to the police, the supporters of these gangs that was in the police, in the prosecuting service, on their town councils and all this other stuff, would basically kill the investigation and leave them out there in the open like this. It's just so terrifying that a political party is so willing to throw away an entire generation of working class girls.
Yeah.
And that number of 250,000 is just those that they know of, because there's so many girls and their family members who died under mysterious circumstances that they just could not directly tie it to the rape gang scandal.
Yeah.
And
I need you to make sure you can email it to me.
You want me to email you the link to the PDF so you can read it?
Yeah, so I can, because I won't be able to read it tomorrow because I'm gaming with Bruce. And Sunday after our movie review, I'll be open until Wednesday again. So I'll have, all day Monday to go through it, and Sunday later in the afternoon on Sunday. But let me put here it is right here. I'm gonna get copying it and put it in the I'll put it in the private chat also. for you, but I'm going to put it out for my people watching too. If you guys are interested in wanting to send me anything on my email, I'll try to get to it. And if it's something I think is really interesting or whatever, maybe I can do a show around it. But I'm going to send it in private chat to you so you'll have it too.
All right, here's the link to. They actually have a web page for it that is the rapeganginquiry.org, and you can download it from there. And I am about to send you that link. You want me to post it in the private chat so you can put it into your
okay, because I tried to share a few things in Discord.
Yeah.
And when I put it in, I was like, you can't share some things that are, if they're too big, I mean, because it won't even let you post it. So I'm going to copy this right now and put it in the in my notes on the side over here. Let's see.
Because I mean, what upsets me so much about all this is the fact that the government's entire purpose is to be a servant to the people. The government doesn't have the power. The people have the power, and they loan it to the government.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't get over this. That something like this is happening, and an entire political party is allowing it to happen and are making sure it can happen by going after all of the people that are trying to put a stop to it.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of the Jimmy Savile stuff that was going on there in the UK.
So when you watched that movie, did this get you all riled up? This whole thing after reading that,
yes.
What you have read, because that one scene with the Muslims in the living room and everything.
Yeah. Rick, and then you get to see the flashbacks to the crimes that was being
but
committed.
it's the way he handled it is what got me going. Got me all riled up, and the way he handled the teenage daughter that was posting horrible things about her after she had already went through that brutality, right? Simply because she was showing her wrists, stuff like that. Girls show cleavage and they show their wrists and their ankles, and that meant that they deserved what they got. See, that's what I'm saying. When they can drag a woman out into the street and stone her to death because she was not wearing her job when she went shopping at the market, or something. I posted something today on my timeline about a woman that was did one of her shows and she didn't have her job on, and she's been going to get 200 lashes or something like that. And she can't leave the country for 2 years. So that's huge. And that's what these young women don't understand, what they're voting for in New York City, right? Mm-hmm. They have no idea that you think you're going to get all this free stuff, and the men are whining and dining you right now because you're young and pretty. But once they get their way, you're going to be chains. You're going to be in chains, because being forced to wear a hijab and cover every inch of your body because of a man looks at you and thinks, oh, she's got a beautiful wrist, she deserves to be raped. And then they all throw you on the ground and rape you. And then now you're a tramp and you're trash, and you're soiled. You have to beg in the street for food and money, but you can't uncover yourself or you're going to get beat again. That's if they don't kill you, after they stone you.
That's one of those things that
it's terrible.
That's one of the things I have nightmares about, of the stuff that I've seen, because first people I ever witnessed murdered by their government. Mm-hmm. There was a gay guy that got tossed off the top of a building.
Mm-hmm.
There was another gay guy who got raped by a high-powered, wealthy dude who was allowed to get away with it, but his victim got beheaded. I witnessed this woman that had been raped that could not get enough men to stand up and say, yes, she was raped, be stoned to death. And these things I will never forget. And it just,
another thing too that I don't understand like we were talking about the common sense thing earlier is the fact that these women, and I'm just using the women because the men aren't going to have the same punishment or the same treatment as the women are going to get. Okay.
Yeah.
When you go into this Muslim voyage, whatever you want to have, I'm trying to be nice about everything. And she's thinking they're going to be so nice to me because they're treating her nice right now. But then you find out your friend that's either a lesbian or he's gay, right? Just like you said, they throw him off a roof and kill him. But they're allowed to do those terrible things to you like you're an animal, right? Treat you like that. And then the way that they treat the people that are gay, but yet that you and I are still the bad guy. See, but they're willing to vote for these people that are doing this, that do it all the time. They do this kind of treatment to women and to gays all the time, and they could take your daughter from you, because that's why I did the movie review for Not Without My Daughter with Sally Field.
Yes.
And I'm still getting views on that review on my channel. And I told everyone, you guys need to watch this, male or female, because not just the fact that most men, if you convert, okay, because if you convert, you'd have to convert no matter what. Because if you're not a Muslim, you're an infidel. So they can lie to you. They can say whatever they want. And I tell people, go back and watch Mandami when he's sworn in. The woman holding the Quran isn't even holding it with her bare hands. She's not allowed to because she's unclean. They don't.
That's the whole thing in Islam is women are unclean. They are there's more women in hell than there are in heaven, which is kind of weird since they say martyrs get 72 virgins.
Yeah, but they're always virgins. Okay. A girl that is old enough to give birth, she's unclean now simply because she has a period. Okay. And she has to do certain rituals, killing doves and all this different stuff, just to be clean for a very short amount of time until she has another menstrual cycle. But during that time, she's not allowed to do a lot of things either because she has no rights. So it's if you just paid attention and researched it, it's harder and harder to research anything because you got Google everywhere, and Google can pretty much set the algorithm to where you can't find anything. I send people my link to my YouTube and my X, and a lot of people said they can't even find me because I'm so far down on the scope. It's hard for them to find out where I'm at. Even people that know me personally, that know me in real life, that not just online. They say, well, I can't find you. I've looked for your ex and I can't find you. There's a whole bunches of Janet from Another Planets. And I'm like, well, that ain't me. So I have to send them my actual link or they can't find me. But yeah, we'll have to, you have to get this all set up and put it out there and, get people to know that you're going to be doing this on Tuesday because it is going to be tough though. It's going to be really hard to do it.
I'm in the process of making the thumbnail that I'm actually going to end up using since right now it's looking like it's just going to be you and me as hosting it.
That's okay.
And because I really would have liked to have had others involved that are more normie, that's not really political involved, so that to get their reaction to it, because everybody I know that has read it has said pretty much the same thing, that it's a travesty of justice that it happened. And every politician, every police officer, every prosecutor that anything to do with covering this stuff up for all of these years have committed treason against the British citizen, and they need to be punished accordingly. And I agree. I mean, there's no other way of putting
You
it.
think they
And
will be?
I don't know. I really don't. I have a hard time seeing any of those politicians being punished. I can actually see those politicians that had did this that have died in the meantime, them putting all the blame on them, and the fact that they're already long dead being the ones that
might happen.
And it's just so this goes back to the fact that the British people allowed themselves to be disarmed, that the government doesn't care about them, that it's pretty much illegal in the UK to defend yourself. If you fight back and defend yourself, you go to jail. There was a retired pensioner.
Not if you're the right person to fight back.
True. There was a
Very
British
prejudiced
Army,
against their own people.
a retired British Army he was either Army or British Marines because he was a boxer.
Yeah.
And he taught hand-to-hand training, and he was an elderly man, and the criminals broke into his house. He defended himself and beat the crap out of these armed intruders into his house. The armed intruders got slaps on the wrist, and he went to jail and got sued for defending himself when they broke into his house and physically attacked him.
Well,
And-
I was trying to remember. I got something I wanted to read, but I got to find it real quick. So give me a second.
Hardwick said that someone suggested that there will need to be a truth and reconciliation hearings.
I hope so.
At the very least, they need that. And Big Dave K said, surprisingly, iTunes had it, and I downloaded it immediately. That or you gotta sell the C's to get a copy. Yeah, the movie Not Without My Daughter is really hard to find. There's another one that was made, the stoning of it had her name. It was an Iranian woman that her husband made up the accusation that she was an adulteress, and they stoned her to death, and they actually forced the first stone to be thrown by her son, her young son. And
Yeah,
it was a
because
true
you gotta remember, women have to have so many witnesses to prove that they are not lying. A
Yep.
man only has to have himself, because a woman is worthless. They're worth nothing except for sex and procreation, basically.
Yeah, and even just sex is because they'll go after goats and sheep and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, and young boys are procreation.
Yeah, and there was I
Pleasure, whatever.
I debated having this conversation on Fireside Chat as one of my things to laugh about.
Yeah.
Was there was an Afghani refugee in Europe, I think it was in France, raped to death 4 goats. Let that sink in. They arrested him for raping to death 4 goats.
Was that in another country or here?
It was in France.
Okay. Well,
4
it's shocking.
goats.
I know, but it's shocking they arrested him for raping and killing goats when they don't arrest him for doing it to people.
Yeah, It's
that's what I was going to say. Where was it? Because, but I want to read this real quick because I want to see what you think about this.
Okay.
Would a Muslim nation invite millions of Christians into their country and allow them to start building churches everywhere? Of course not. Then why should we let them invade our country and build their mosques everywhere? I mean, just look around. You go to one of their countries, look how they treat Christians or anyone of any other faith than theirs.
It's like in
But
Iran.
yet we're supposed to be like this. Come on, welcome. And we're going to hand over everything because they don't assimilate. Just like I said, they'll bring in a group as refugees or whatever, and they have a man and 20 women, right?
Yeah.
Then all the women, get their own place, own apartment or whatever on the same street or block or whatever. He just goes from one apartment to the other. And then within, 20 years, they got 50 something kids. Those kids grow up and in one generation, they're running for office and everything in that area because they take over. That's how they do it. That's why they always outnumber us, because they have multiple wives. Okay. And even though legally on paper, they're not married in our country, but because it's illegal to have more than one wife, but they have them. And guess what? We're paying for them. We're giving them a place to live. We're giving them medical care. We're giving them school, doing all that. And their kids are growing up understanding the laws because they're learning, a lot of it through school, but from us, our education that we paid for, and they're taking us over. Because all they have to do is take so many generations and they outnumber everyone. Because when they're having 50 kids with one father, and our father is having 2 to 5, maybe, that you can't compete with that.
Yeah,
you hear Elon Musk talk about that a lot. He's got 15 to 17 kids with all the different women now, but he's got $1 trillion. He can afford to feed them and take care of them. We can't go around popping out that many babies. Who's going to feed them? Who's going to clothe them? Who's going to put a roof over their head? Because we're responsible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between us and them. I'm not going to go to someone's house and say, I demand you give me a place to live and pay my way.
Yeah,
it's because I'm me. That's just, to me, it's just fucking nuts. It doesn't make any sense. Why we put up with this shit? It's beyond fathomable. It doesn't make a lick of sense at all that we let these people come here and they never assimilate, but yet they call them immigrants. They're not immigrants. These are invaders. These are people that didn't sign a paper. They didn't do anything. They haven't had any training whatsoever about anything about our culture to understand who we are and why we are the country that we are. They don't want to, because all they want is this. Just keep giving it to me for nothing, and I'm going to put nothing back in. And then when they do get the money, they send it back to their home.
Yeah,
they don't
especially
put it back in our country.
Well, a lot of people don't know just how far the U.S. dollar goes in places like India and Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
A brain surgeon gets paid in a year what I get paid on my Social Security, disability, and my veterans compensation and pension added up, which is around $2,500 maybe on a good amount of money, and that's what they get in an entire year. So you can come here, work, and send home money to your family, and they can live like kings. One of my jokes was the fact when I was told just how far the American dollar went in India, I was like, holy crap, I could go live like a king. And odds are, even if I was in a wheelchair, I'd have like 12 women all clamoring to be to be there with me so they could live in the big house that I'd have.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have to have the lottery to have that big ass house. The only difference is it'd be me in the big house with a whole bunch of hoochie mamas.
Yep.
You know what? I think I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to see how much a plane ticket costs. I'm going to go get me some hoochie mamas.
Well, a lot of people see that, and that's why they trek a long, long distance to come here and get all the free stuff.
Yeah.
Because if their uncle or their cousin or whatever, yeah, she was raped a couple times, but guess what? She's made 10 times the amount of money already in the less than a year that she's been here, that she's been sending back to her mother or whatever. Okay. She's already made 10 times the amount of money her mother made her whole life.
Yeah,
see, and that's what they see. That's all they're thinking about. They're coming here, and then when they come here, I'm not saying they're all criminals, but they are criminals technically because they came over the border illegally. They didn't go to a station, one of the places, and say, "I wanna become a citizen," and do the whatever it takes to become one. But they don't care about that. So breaking the law by coming over the border does make you a criminal technically. So, we're not lying about that. And that's why 80 million people voted for Trump to clean that out, to get them back over the border, because we can barely handle our own people that have been born and raised here, feeding them, making sure they go to school, get an education or whatever, any of this stuff. And we gotta do that and start over and make it more clear on how you have to come here and assimilate.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of coming to going and living in a different country.
Other countries force you to do it.
Yeah, if
you want to be
in many ways, I have said what we should do is Xerox copy the Mexican policies and implement them here. And then when anybody says, "Oh, this is racist," no, it's not. It's the exact same thing that Mexico's doing. And
they'll call you a liar and say that's not true. Because you're a racist liar. That's why you say those things.
And all you got to do is say, "Hey, we Xerox copied their law and passed it. Here, read it."
They can even go and
can you read Spanish? Here it is.
Yeah, you could click on a website and show it to them, and they'd still think that it's fake. It's not you set it up for me to see it. They're going to make excuse after excuse because they don't want to admit that you're right or Trump's right or any of this stuff. So
that's the part that gets me, is the fact you can show them this stuff and they just look at you like you're lying to them. It's like with the Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing with Nadine.
Just like we talked about earlier about the guy that came from California, traveled and everything because he believes what he did was the right thing, trying to get rid of a Nazi that's going to kill people. And that's what he believes.
Nadine knows how much time I spend researching this shit. And the fact that I'm a news junkie, I'm always watching stuff. If something catches my fancy, I track it down and get as much information as I can about it. And yet I was still a liar who didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And
you can't win for losing.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. It's whenever she pulls that, I'm like, "Oh, I know I'm just stupid and all, and I don't know nothing." I mean, I don't spend hours researching this stuff and reading it all. And there's times when she's actually, I've shamed her enough to where she's like, "Oh shit, I really stepped in at this time."
Yeah.
Because it literally, it's one of those things that just really burns me up that I can do the research and show it. And it just in one ear, out the other, and doesn't. It's almost like it escaped the other ear the second it touched, boom, boom, there it's at, and it does it. Oh man, I mean, she still has a hard time accepting the fact that Joe Biden has dementia. I mean, even the rest of the Democrat Party is pretty much going, yeah, he had dementia, man. We're just covering that shit up. And she still doesn't want to accept it. It's like the nickname Hills Up Harris was given to her by the Democrats.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, the Republicans gave her that nickname. No, they just use it because that's what they were told. And oh God, it's just so fucking ridiculous. And I just can't. All I really care about, I care about the people, and I'm sick and tired of watching good people losing faith in humanity because of this. They're losing faith in their government. They're losing faith in our elections because all the information that's been coming out of the voter fraud stuff, and the fact that the SAVE Act they're having such a hard time getting it passed. I'm like, why are they not debating it in the floor of the Senate right now?
Because they don't want you to hear what they think about why they're not voting.
That's
one of the reasons.
They need to reinstitute the filibuster the way the founders wanted it to be. Every law that they pass is supposed to go through that debate process. And it's supposed to go through the debate process publicly so the American people can hear both sides of the issue so they can sit there and tell.
What Trump said at the beginning. Remember, he said he wanted to be more transparency, where instead of him just signing executive orders behind a desk where no one's in the office with him, he has a room full of people when he's in there a lot. Then almost everything he does it with the crowd, and that's one of the reasons why I decided that we needed someone like him, because we need to bring everything out of the closet, air everything out, and it needs to be out in the open where everyone can see. And Trump is a showman. That's what he does. And so he's the perfect person to present all the things that he's been trying to present to us, to show us this is what is going on. This is Doge, and this is why we started Doge. This is this, and this is why we're in this place, because this guy's doing this. I feel like he's done his best job he can at trying to show us how much corruption we actually had, and knowing that every single time he signs an executive order to try to get rid of something, he has to go to the Supreme Court almost every time.
Yep. And
over dumb shit. And that's why, and we have nothing. He's got a couple things he's been able to get finished, but to have one branch of the government get it done in 2 months, 3 months, and the other one, it's just
still
it's just sitting there doing nothing but gathering dust, basically. So that's what I don't understand. I can't wait to find out why, what somebody has over them or whatever, and why they haven't made this decision, and why they're going on another vacation when we have this that needs to be done, because the elections is in November.
Yep. And I look at it. I look at this, and all I can think of is the fact that we, the people, need to, let's see, how can I put this and not sound really messed up? We need to slap a bitch. Like it's one of our hoes hiding the money that she's supposed to be giving us, but doing it to the politicians to remind them, yo, bitch, you're a hoe. You work for me.
Ours. Yeah, that's right. You belong to us, and you should be doing our job that we've told you and hired you for.
Exactly.
But I think they're going to. I think that I mean, each day that's gone by, more and more, this little bit of stuff is happening. They're arresting people for trafficking. They're arresting pedophiles, or they're arresting these people for fraud, for Medicaid. They're arresting people. I mean, I didn't get to show it. Was the Antifa guys? You know, the people they arrested and prosecuted over 100 years for the whole group of people combined in Texas, and they're Antifa. Proud, you know.
Yeah, and those chuckleheads,
Shit.
there are actual people out there trying to say that it was a political prosecution, that they were innocent, and all this.
Like the J6ers were.
Yeah, the J6ers were invited in, and that's the part that these chuckleheads just aren't getting through their fracking heads.
Well, they're not going to, because they're not going to ever see it the way that we do. You know what I mean? At least I understand that. So I don't even argue with them anymore. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who hung out with us tonight, because it's like it's been over 3-hour show.
Yeah.
So we've done really well. We shared a lot of information, I feel, that I felt was important to get people updated on a lot of things that's happened, and to be prepared, like with this whole Hillary thing, because once all those hearings are done and they have all the other stuff that goes along with that thing with the well, I think his name's Brennan. Is that his name? All that is all connected, and I'm really getting antsy about it, because Hillary is one of the people that I would like. She's at the top of my list.
Yeah,
for a person that gets what they deserve. I can't help it. I'm really chomping at the bit to see something happen with that woman, because she is. I think she's even worse than her husband. Honestly.
Yeah. In all honesty, I agree.
She's the epitome of bad, in my point of view.
When Emma, after the accident, when she first became Secretary of State, she was running around taking credit for all the hard work that Condoleezza Rice had done. She started trying to get that little boy back from Brazil when she was a national security advisor, because a friend of her family brought her that information. And she started trying to get that little boy back because her mother was dead, and and the child's father wanted the child back because the mother had taken the child out of the country illegally. She didn't even marry the Brazilian dude who was refusing to give the kid back. And they finally was able to get this kid back. And Hillary's running around acting like she's the one who did it.
Yeah.
And not Condoleezza Rice. And what I was going through, and the fact that all she had to do was give me the lawyer so I could fight to get my son back to the United States from the UK.
Yeah.
The Home Secretary there in the UK kept saying, look, we don't provide you with the lawyer. The United States State Department does. And they sent me the law in email saying, okay, here's the law. Next time you talk to her, say, this is the law. This is where you got to look it up that says you're supposed to provide me with this lawyer. And I lost 2 years of runaround because of that woman. And when you've had the head of the Scotland Yard and the head of the Metropolitan Police of London both tell you, in all honesty, the only way I'd get my kid back is if I waited for her to drop him off at the elementary school in the morning.
Yeah, and go take him.
And I was not gonna do that because it would hurt both him and my stepson, because my stepson's going to be like, oh my God, he took Zachary, but he left me behind. I guess that means he cared more about Zachary than he did me. And I wasn't going to hurt my kids that way. And it was just better for me to be the one to hurt than them. And
But
the
I've got to get ready for bed. It's 12:30.
Yep,
and
it's
I've been up
1:30
since,
here.
yeah, it's I've been up since 4:00 this morning or yesterday morning. So I'm really beat. And I got a game today. So and Bruce, he has long games, 6 to 8 hour games. So
oh sweet.
Really,
I've got to. I'm about to pass out too. I took my medicine, and
I haven't taken my allergy medicine either. I got my sinuses are so stuffed up. Oh, I'm just dying. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who hung out with us tonight. We really appreciate it, and I hope that we helped a little bit with something you might not have known. And I hope you research more. Hope you look at everything. Think about everything we talked about, and then go look it up yourself. Don't take our word for anything. Go find out the truth and share it with everyone you know, as much as you can. And if you do want to see it, go see that movie, Citizen, the Vigilante Citizen, or whatever it was called.
Citizen Vigilante,
yeah. Go see it.
It's really good. I enjoyed
It'll make you think. It'll make you think, and that about where we are and where we should be. I think it will help you with that. But we want to say thank you so much, and thank you very much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you.
Well, anytime you want to do something, just let me know, and I'll be here.
Yeah, see, being in Discord's helpful, isn't it? You just sit it. It's really fast, and I really like that. I really love my Discord. I've used it a lot. I put so much stuff in there, and it's got a good group of people in there too. So. But thank you, everyone. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and take care of yourself and love your neighbors and love your family. And God bless America.
American COVID-19 vaccine deaths, it ranges from about 470,000 from Pfizer alone up to 840,000 American deaths from the COVID-19 vaccines. We have to remember that that is rivaling the American soldier death toll of World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and the Iraq War combined.